Feels like the harder that I try, the further I fall from my God. Don't you find that I'm trying to find my rest in you. I can't keep up this facade. Don't you find that I just need some time away. I'll plan how this great escape. I just want you. Oh yeah, I just want you. Oh yeah. Trying to look past the veils on my culture. I'm an outcast, this path will have me thrown to the vultures. I'm prone to lose focus, my soul's in hypnosis. If silence is golden, my mind is touched, blessed is all I'm owning. I'm lost, something like a castaway. Waiting these waves, hoping that they take me past this place. Remove my master selling past this masquerade. My master set the master, I muster up a seed of faith. Yeah. Now I'm leading toward an epic change. My dreaming turns to being, leading on his mighty name. Mindset rearrange, escape is written on this page. I'm on a course of ease and pain, at lost to see, I see your ways. Yeah. Who am I to question path and plans? True joy transcends the rolling ways of circumstance. A circumstance, yeah. Hold up. In this moment I accept your acceptance. Product of your grace, object of affection. Called, chosen, predestined, elected. Crashed by the wayside, saved from the wreckage. Yeah. And I am who you say I am. I'm the clay being molded in the potter's hands. He's the king, victorious in every battle. He banished my weary soul. My mindset's been dismantled enough. Feels like the harder that I try, the further I fall from my God. Don't you find that I'm trying to find my rest in you. I can't keep up this facade. Don't you find that I just need some time away. I'll plan how this great escape. I just want you. Oh yeah, I just want you. Oh yeah.
What's good, bro? Smooth. Sorry I missed you, man, but just wanted to reach out and check up on you, man. Make sure everything was smooth. Really ain't been yourself lately. Get back at me soon, bro. One love.
End of message.
Took like 30 years, but I found myself ironic with these issues all around my health. I know it ain't nothing new, no, it's all been felt. I know I'ma get it right. No, I found my help, it's you. No execs want that dope dealer, that go stick up a cold killer. Hit way the prone, that pull that four-finger, body leave a soul, then you know the code lingers. I awake with some cold singers, these some cold winners, Tell me where your people finding their identity. Kid, I'm telling you, it's not who they pretend to be. Future said he ain't sipping lean, but the industry won't let him intervene with them songs about him getting clean. You ain't a person, you a brand. Your persona's whatever, put money in their hands, they won't let it go. Feed them poison with no antidote, avoiding antidotes. It's telling kids without no hand to hold, it's holding on to your words. The man up in that mirror's way too unfamiliar. I don't know him. No, I don't know him. No, who you say I am, that's who I am. Who you say I am, that's who I am. That's who I'll be. That's who I'll be. That's who I'll be. That's who I'll be. Who you say I am, that's who I am. Who you say I am, that's who I am. That's who I'll be. That's who I'll be. That's who I'll be. That's who I'll be. Took like 30 years, feeling lost at sea. To finally realize you had a plan for me. I know I don't know directions when I treat you in a vein. While I'm in this world of chaos, I'm with you, it's so serene. Had to get involved when I found out who I was. When I thought I was forgotten, picked me up and said I'm loved. But this life got overwhelmed and dropped them blessings from above. My suppliers never running dry, I know that you the plug. Execs want that. Who cares, man? I spend too much time competing in world affairs. I'm called to be counterculture, fill my circle with no squares. Sick of the circus surfacing while my people getting instead. Don't know who they supposed to be. They got the gold, but don't know the one on that rosary. They chasing goals, but they fighting the wrong opponents. Be them broken souls, but he's the only atonement, G. The man up in that mirror's way too unfamiliar. I don't know him. No, I don't know him. When you say I am, it's who I am. When you say I am, it's who I am. That's who I'll be. Yeah, that's who I'll be. Yeah, no, when you say I am, it's who I am. When you say I am, it's who I am. That's who I'll be. That's who I'll be.
Take a walk down that river tonight with a lot that's on my mind. There's some things I could say to you now, but it's better I stay quiet. Better I stay quiet. Quiet. Better often stray from this place that I'm in once again with you now. I must break away from this high. It's not real, falsified. I can't stay here too long by your side. I must break away.
ASL 시즌 9 리프레션. Today's matchup.
올인성 2 악물고 들어가는 크로스 카운터 공격에 홍명우의 이 화력에
시작한 시간 만에 8강 진출인 것 같은데 최선을 다해보겠습니다.
스톱 송병 프로토스.
좋아요. 피가 더 커지고 있습니다.
센터 뺏어 먹겠다는 거죠.
여기 약해요. 여기.
네.
취재 이재우 선수가 8강에 진출합니다.
4강 결승까지 꼭 진출할 수 있도록 좋은 모습 보여드리도록 하겠습니다.
라이 이재호 테라. ASL 시즌 9 8강. 핫식스 아프리카 TV 콜로세움 라이브. ASL에 오신 것을 환영합니다.
What's up, everybody out there? It's time for the third day of the round of 8 of the ASL. The first half has been one of the best round of 8s we've ever asked for. I think the second half is going to be just as good, if not better. But first, we're going to hop into a quick interview with our two players, see what their thoughts are before we start this best of 5.
Hi everybody, I'm here too. Okay, back to you, Tasteless.
All right. Let's see our two players and find out who's going to join the semifinals today. They say hello.
안녕하세요.
Hello, Stork. Hello.
7시즌 만에 16강을 1등으로 뚫어내시고 8강
It's been 3 years and 7 seasons, and you're back in the semifinals again.
일단
You must be a strange feeling for you. How do you feel? I suppose when you point it out that way, it makes me a little bit more nervous. I try not to focus on ideas like that. I try not to think about this as an opportunity to get to the semifinals. I instead try to view this as going up against a top-tier Terran.
오늘은 좀 어떠신가요?
일단 잠을 좀 많이 잤는데.
And when I think thoughts like that, it makes me more comfortable. She says, "How's your condition?"
그만큼 연습을 좀 더
I practiced a lot,
지금
actually.
와서는 살짝 긴장되는 부분.
Oh, he said, I'm sorry, he said he slept a lot recently.
네. 자, 이재호 선수와도 인사를 좀
He said he
나눠볼게요.
actually hasn't
안녕하세요.
practiced that much. He spent most of his time
지난 시즌에
resting.
이어 두 시즌 연속도 이렇게 8강
Over to you,
경기를
Light. Hello.
앞두고 계시는데 이 조추첨 때 제가 또 보니까 나만 잘하면
You've made it to the
결승에 갈수 있을 것
quarterfinals 2
같다라고
times in a row
말씀하시면서
now.
굉장히 좀 만족스러워하시더라고요.
네네.
오늘 경기
We
앞두고
looked to
계신
show reactions
심리
during the round of
어떠세요?
8 bracket draws. You seem pretty satisfied. How do you feel today?
준비는 제가 만족할 만큼 많이 해서 긴장은
I would say in terms of
하는데
preparation, I'm pretty
그래도
satisfied.
상대가 상대이다 보니까
I
좀
prepared as much as I
걱정이
wanted.
많이 되긴 하거든요. 그래도
I am going
오늘
up against Stork, though.
제가 열심히
and that makes me a little bit more
후회 없이
apprehensive.
경기하고 가고 싶어요.
자, 이재호
I wanna
선수가 상대가 상대이니만큼 좀 긴장이 된다라고
I,
했는데 워낙
no matter what, I want to play my games today without regrets and focus on the now.
보여줬기 때문에 이재호 선수도 좀 긴장을 하고 있지 않나 싶어요. 자, 송병구 선수의 4강
Stork,
가능성을
you've been showing great performance against Terrans as of late,
점치시는 분들도 계시거든요.
particularly in offline events.
네, 송병구 선수의 생각은 어떠세요?
A lot of people are anticipating that you have a high chance to actually advance to the semifinals. What do you have to say to that? I think everybody plays pretty well.
용호가 잘하면서 많은 빌드들을 만들고 최적화를
It seems like Protoss is fairly good against Terran.
그래서 옛날처럼 잘했던
Terran has been improved a lot too. Improving a lot too, excuse me.
자, 또 이재호 선수가 최근에 온라인
depends on who prepared and how they
프로토스전
prepared.
정말 또 잘해주고 계시잖아요.
네.
아무래도 이 작년 초에 잠깐 프로토스로 종종
Light, you've been showing a great performance in online games and offline games everywhere. It seems like in the beginning of last year you changed your you switched races to Protoss briefly early on last year. Did that help you with this matchup?
그게 100%
Yes, a lot of people have mentioned that.
이제 조금 그 대회에서의 준비 같은
Probably it helps a bit,
조금씩
but that's not
알아가서 그런 것 같아요.
necessarily 100% the case.
워낙 두 선수 모두
I think I just
상대
know
종족전에
throughout
강한
the tournament,
선수들이라 지금까지
I've learned more how to solve each problem that I've approached. I've just become a better tournament player overall.
두 분 생각하시기에 오늘 승부에 좀 갈림길이 될
Since both
만한
of you-
세트는 몇 세트가 될 거라고 생각하시나요? 송병구 선수 어떠신가요?
This would be a huge moment for you in ASL semifinals. Excuse me, whoever makes it first.
네오 실피드.
So it should be a close match. At least that's what people are saying.
테란전이 자신 없는데 사실 그거를 최우 선순위로 밴을 하고 싶었는데
I think the map that's the most important here is on Sylphid.
근데 딱 3경기라 가지고 그때까지
I was hoping to ban that map.
스코어도 좀 좋고
네.
그 실피드만 잘 넘긴다면은 이길 수 있을 것 같아요.
이재호 선수의 생각은 어떠세요?
If I play well enough
1세트가 가장
on Sylphid, I think
풀어진 날이죠.
it'll be representative of the entire series.
편하게 갈 수 있을 것 같고.
Light, what is the most important map here? I would say the first map on Horizon Lunar Colony.
꼭 1세트가
I think if I can win that, I can snowball the series.
이재호 선수가
If I lose that, it's going to be a real uphill fight.
해오셨을 것 같은 느낌이 드는데요. 마지막으로 두 선수 오늘 경기 임하는 각오를 한 마디씩 들어보겠습니다.
네.
Before we start, anything you want to say?
하고, 저도 열심히 잘 준비했지만 사실
Light's a very worthy opponent.
어떻게
He's
나올지
been
잘
playing very well.
저도 후회 없는 게임 하고 좋은.
I think today it's hard for anybody to tell the results of today's games, but I want everybody to know I'm going to do my best and show some great performance and entertaining games. And you, Light.
재밌는 게임 하도록 하겠습니다.
네, 오늘 두 선수 최선의
I want to show
경기를
everything that I
기대하겠습니다.
prepared
인터뷰
for.
고맙습니다.
And I'm going to show some great games. Okay, thank you.
네, LG 울트라기어와 핫식스가 함께하는
Already
ASL 시즌
another great series. Everything has been amazing so far. I expect this to be the last thing. Let me rephrase that. The one thing this should not be is one-sided.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with that. On paper, this is the best match in the round of 8.
I think the only way this could be one-sided, we were talking about this a little bit early on, the Light is looking godlike in TVP.
Yeah, he looks
He's
very
strong
good
in this matchup. He really knows how to, I don't know, punch the Protoss in the face to get the Protoss to submit. And I don't think we're going to have a 3-0, but if we did, I might say it would be Light. The thing is, though, is that Stork is one of the best players at prepping for a series out of anybody we've ever seen. Strategically, he always, even if I would say mechanically, at times he's been behind. You know, he's had off and on periods in StarCraft.
Yeah.
Since Remaster's been out. I would say he, even if he's mechanically not where some of the other players are, and he is mechanically where they are now, he always knows how to plan.
Yeah, that's for sure.
I'm very curious to see what he's going to open with and how he's going to play in the series.
Something that he said during the interview actually kind of caught me off guard. He said that it seems like Protoss is quite good against Terran right now. Normally, actually, Stork is one of the players that kind of complains about PvT. So I think that this kind
of
gives
us an
insight.
He's like the Protoss version of you, Artosis. This is the...
Well, no, because when I say it, it's actually true. And then when he says it, it's laughable.
Yeah. When he says it's propaganda.
It's literally propaganda at that point. But the fact that he says that PvT is pretty good for Protoss right now, I think that probably speaks to how well he's doing in practice.
Probably.
Because I think he gets frustrated with the matchup sometimes, but if he's not right now, that means he's in outstanding shape, because even when he was complaining about that before, he looked very good in the matchup. So I think that Stork is going to come very prepared today. And I see this easily going to 5 maps.
One thing about PvT in the current meta from the Protoss' side, it does seem like a lot of mid-game Reaver usage is very popular. People don't seem to want to open up with anything that's crazy aggressive. Like, yeah, they might rush with, let's say, a forward gateway with Zealots in attack, or do Dragoon pressure. But we do not have as many of the crazy all-ins, like proxy buildings all around the Terran's base.
No.
But Protoss seem to want to leverage the fact that Terran takes a little bit more time to get started with mech play, especially these guys that are getting armories really early on, and try to either punish them by battering them with speed shuttles, or by just vacuuming up all expansions on the map and playing a macro game.
Yeah. You know, well, first let's look at this. This is the previous 5 seasons that they played in and how well they did during those. You see for Stork around a 24, 16, 16, 24, 16. So yeah, he's had a little bit of a harder time more recently. And Light, of course, round of 8 last season. Everything other than that looking kind of like Stork's. Yeah. Looks like, that's their last round of 8's, how they did. Stork 0-3 against Jaedong, and then Light 1 and 3 against Flash. So that's kind of funny that they lost to basically 2 players that they should lose to in their previous career high.
Yeah, I'm so excited. It's a really tough one to call here. Really tough.
Yeah. I think my gut is that Light is slightly favored.
If I had to pick one, I would pick Light to move on. But Stork, you can never count him out. He can basically beat anybody.
Yeah, and that's certainly true. I do want to mention, and these are just some of what they did already in this tournament, but I want to mention they were asking what they thought the most important maps are. And the thing is, I felt like Light was a bit favored coming in today, and then I saw the map pool. And it goes Horizon, Matchpoint, Neo Sylphid, Inner Coven, Polypoid. Intercoven, Polypoid, and Horizon are all Protoss favored. So I think that's why Light said that map 1 was very important, because if he can win there, he can snowball it, which I would agree with. But I was actually telling you before we started, I thought map 2 was the most important, because if he does not win map 2, I think that he's dead. Like, I think match point, like, he needs that win to go forward and have the shot to actually take Stork down, because he's going to have to win a tough map somewhere in there.
And if this gets close at all, as in a player's one on each side as the series progresses, we are going to be on Intercoven. Again, this is a map where we're still trying to get the hang of it. It seems like we thought it was going to be a lot of carriers being too strong early on, but then because of that, Terrans tried to push. Protosses have hard countered that by just being ready for a push in the middle of the map. We may see some more evolutions in this matchup before we're done with this map. So I just want to put that out there. I don't know. I think Intercoven, especially with both Stork and Light, somebody could come up with a really smart one-off strategy. Yeah. We've seen a lot of one-off, almost gimmicky strats to try to just steal the match. I mean, we saw Larva do this in the ZVZ with a Ling bust with a hatchery in the middle of the map. We may have something like that happen here, but that is a map that's going to have to be confronted on both sides. Someone's going to take it. That'll be a very weird one. I think it's almost certain that we will get there. By the way, these are just their win rates in ASL against their opponents' races. Don't let these stats really fool you. This goes so far back in time that it's kind of like, stats
they're in very different shape than they were at the beginning of ASL.
You can have a lot of fun with stats, but it can be misleading for how much time has passed. I mean, even for anybody who's ever played StarCraft, to take your all-time record, it's like, well, I mean, how good are you right now?
I gotta say, Stork banning Escalade is absolutely not something that I would expect here.
Yeah, that's very strange.
That, from what from my own experience, it feels like a hard map TVP, and then also just watching pro gamers stream it, it feels like a lot of the Terran pros are having a bit of a hard time.
But then what map
TVP
would you
there.
ban?
As Stork here?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like
I think Match Point or Sylphid is a better ban. I think. And didn't he say he was thinking about banning Sylphid or something like that during the interview? Or
he mentioned something like that if he had to ban a map. I think that map, Terrans can get enough bases. It's not easy for Protoss to just shut down bases on that. I mean, you have several bases close to you. So I could see why he would not want to play on that, but maybe he feels like he could probably take one straight up macro game off of him. Match Point, there's a lot of dirty stuff you can do with Protoss. I mean, you can steal the gas, you can proxy the gates. I don't know. I mean, he might not do that, but you know,
I guess Escalade you can't really do anything cheesy.
As a Protoss player, I can't really ever imagine if there's one one-on-one map banning that. If there's something else I'm less comfortable on, I mean, take what benefits you can get in the matchup in the map and how many spawn locations there are. That's a matchup where Protoss definitely has exploits in a one-on-one map, or a two-player map, I should say.
All right, we are moving forward right now, so
no moving backwards, Artosis.
Hopefully not. Hopefully not. I don't know. I think that when I put this all together, this is just such a hard to call match. The map pool really kind of adds to that and makes this match actually a lot more fun, I think. If these were like just 5 maps out of the ladder pool, I'd be like, yeah, I really think Light has it at that point. But with these maps, like stuff like Intercoven in there and the weird planning you're going to have to do for some of these maps, and Horizon and stuff, it's like, ooh, how are you supposed to play that map? I'm not so sure. Like, there's a lot of shuttle play could occur and stuff like that. Yeah, I'm just so excited. I think it's a great match.
Out of all the great Terran players that we've had that have been improving lately, like Last or Sharp, Light is the guy who seems to be the strongest out of the fresh Terrans. He seems to have the freshest mold. He's very, very good. He's in top-tier performance with his most recent tournaments, most recent StarCraft tournaments that have happened that he's been participating in.
Well, he won that last KSL, right?
Exactly.
The last KSL. The last KSL champion. He's the current KSL champion for all time.
That's right.
The defending KSL champ at all points for the rest of history. 2,000 years from now, they're like, who's the current KSL champion? It's Light.
He still has the trophy, the last one at least. So, you know, even though Light has been producing better results lately, you cannot count Stork out. He's managed to take out some players we thought were a lot better at the time. Game 1 is ready. This is on Horizon Lunar Colony. Stork versus Light. Best of 5 starts now.
호라이즌 달기지에서 게임을 시작합니다.
Okay, we have Stork up here at 12 o'clock, and at 3 o'clock we have Light.
Right. I think that these spawns are as good as Light could hope for. Absolutely. Okay. You do not want to be close by air against Protoss. That would be hell on earth trying to block speed shuttles. Yeah, and I think it's better that it's not like 12 versus 6 or something. He's kind of a little bit more cornered here. Someone told me that Flash said 12 and 6 o'clock are unwinnable for Terran, but I'm not sure the context of that, really. I don't know. I'm not really sure what that means, but certainly at least with these spawns, I think it's as good as Lake. Yeah.
Now, there's so many different ways. In the early game, it's funny. This matchup started out in the early days of StarCraft. It seemed like the most rigid, the least flexible. And we've now seen on both sides, there's so many different ways to approach it, so many different openers, so many cool tricks you can do. From Terran, there's now so many different types of pushes you can try to surprise the Protoss with. I'm most interested on Light's side is there going to be a general structure of how he approaches this matchup? Because he tends to like a lot of powering, but also control with pushes.
Yeah.
He does occasionally like to do some 2-base pushes. I've seen that on streams as well.
Sure.
Where he'll just power up. On Sylphid, I've seen that on a couple games, actually. But I don't know. And one thing about Stork is that he tends to play around a lot of metas. He tends to look at how people are approaching. I mean, as an example, Stork was the guy that introduced the ground game PvT on Coven.
Yeah.
He just said, well, wait a minute.
He was the first one we saw do that.
They're going to try to preempt the carrier play and push me, so let's just stop their push. That's an example of somebody who really is zeroing in on, okay, let's just stop what they're going to do. Let's not think of everything that my race can do. Let's think of what my race can do, then think of what they're going to do, and then stop that. I want to see what Stork is going to do in the series as far as preemption goes.
Well, I totally see what you're saying, but I think it's going to be hard to preempt Terran on this map because there's going to be a bit of variety on what they can do. I think that this is a great map, though, to go for Reaver Tech, and I think that that's what we should be seeing from it. And I'm talking Speed Shuttle Reaver Tech specifically. I think that it's safe and it gives you a lot of options. And it opens up things like taking the island base. There's a lot of surface area in these mains to try to defend. So things like turrets are going to be a little bit less valuable, especially in some of these spawn positions. And what that makes me think is that I wouldn't be surprised if we see Light go like expansion into Starport.
Okay.
But as far as Stork goes, like I don't want to see him preempt on this map. Like maybe a different map, but on this map, I actually just want to see him play a standard game. Because I think it's going to be reasonable for him to get into a good position if he's flying around with a Reaver and just kind of macroing well and taking bases that are hard to kill and things. But I haven't seen enough games here to be definitive on that.
Well, this map's also, there's a lot of interesting features on this map that, it's a fun map actually with this matchup specifically to watch really good players play on. But yeah, let's see. I mean, again, it seems like most PvT is not to do anything drastic, put on a mild amount of pressure that keeps Terran honest and just expand. And it's after the expansion starts that's where it gets interesting. We've seen, initially it was everybody going Reaver. We've now seen DT drops have become pretty common in mid-game as Terrans, I think, for a little bit. We're maybe getting a little bit too greedy and not having adequate defense here. One thing about the very early days of all of StarCraft, but PvT in general, was Terrans almost over-defended with turrets. They had too much. They'd have a scanner early because so much of Protoss play was super cheesy. And then, things went more into a macro game as you realized, well, if you're really going to try to be too aggressive too early, you're probably going to get punished. And so from there, we saw people switch into much more macro style. Let's get Arbiters, let's get Armories here. And now we've seen Protoss has bounced back with Reavers, but also with just DT drops, where if you don't have turrets up, if you just have scanner, you're not going to get your third.
Yeah, that's...
And in this game, we're seeing from Terran an immediate starport.
Yeah.
Which is very cool.
Yeah, I was kind of expecting this for this map just because it makes sense in a lot of ways. If you have a very tricky map, like starport openers, in my opinion, are one of the most difficult to play in Terran versus Protoss because you have like an abnormally small amount of units. So you kind of like your third is way later, your upgrades are later, everything's kind of like pushed back, so you have to make something work.
And you have to do damage with the dropship play. You can't just get the dropship out, fly out there and chase some probes away and it doesn't work. You know, you have to do something with it.
Well, yeah, it certainly makes it more difficult if you don't. If you get some damage done though, it's quite nice. Now, yeah, I like the opening from Light. Like he's doing something that seems quite intelligent here. Can he get some probe damage? We'll see.
So, a small feature on this map that can play a huge role is that there's this high ground area with a large ramp behind your mineral patches. And it's one of the reasons why the dropship play is among the most common approaches. Even if you don't get it immediately, you'll see players get it after a little while, because if you can get a few tanks and vultures up there, it can be very hard for Protoss to reclaim. And similar predicament for the Terrans are worried about Shuttle Reaver getting inside their main. The same thing is true for the Protoss with dropships here, is that you can get dropped, you can't immediately shoot down the dropship out of the sky before they've managed to unload it. So by covering the main and the natural, that's a lot for the Protoss against especially multiple dropships coming in here now. Here comes the first one now.
Yeah, we see the Reaver tech on the way, but Stork is actually very ready. His SimCity is beautiful. His Dragoons are in position, and actually a bit of miss micro from him there. Let's see what Light gets done. Not a whole lot.
By the way, we've seen this more and more now in StarCraft Remastered, but the Protoss bases look like StarCraft 2 bases now, where they completely surround the mineral patches with buildings all around.
Yeah, that's actually much more common at this point.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's squeezing a Vulture in that he ran in through the front since all the Dragoons are already in the main base defending. So he gets 2 probes, 3 probes maybe.
Good pickup there.
Okay, so you got 3 to 4 probes, lost 4 Vultures. Yeah, I think it's fine. Like it's not the greatest amount of damage or anything, but I think that players have gotten good enough to the point where you don't have to massacre probes with your drop. You know, especially if it's just Vultures you're losing.
Does he have a Citadel? Is this actually carrier tech? Okay, he's gonna go carriers then. He's got a starport coming down now.
I think it makes sense. And in fact, I don't think I've actually talked to you about this, even though we talk about Reaver quite a bit. I believe that this has come about as a counter to dropship play. If you watch at the pro level of TVP, when Terrans go dropships, very oftentimes their opponents go into carriers against that. And I think that's because all the sharp upgrade timings and unit timings are gone, kind of. Because the dropship play really slows down kind of everything to some degree.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. Also, generally speaking, Reaver openings are very good for covering the starport tech. You know, there's a Reaver you can do a lot with. Also, with a shuttle here, it's pretty complementary. You basically get to have the island. You can defend it. A Reaver is better defending against an island than pretty much anything else. Very hard for Terran to actually fight that. One other thing we might see added in here, just to make sure that he's safe, is a forge. Now, we have multiple Wraiths being made as well, which is interesting because Wraiths do cost a lot of gas.
Yeah, they cost as much gas as a factory, so it's kind of... Like, I think the 2 Wraiths are just anti-Reaver tech.
I think he's got 3. Am I wrong about this?
I believe he has 2. If he has 3, that's very interesting.
I might have seen this.
2 is a pretty normal number to get if you're playing against, like, Shuttle Reaver. Because 1, like, takes a long time to kill a Shuttle.
I think I was wrong. I think you're right, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought I saw, maybe it was a dropship. I was going to say, if he has 3 Wraiths, that's very weird.
He did scan that, by the way. He scanned the fact that it is carrier tech. So Light knows what's up. He's on 2 bases. Stork, he has his probe at the island, so he can go ahead and take that 3rd base. I don't know how this is going to end up looking. Like, the thing is, this is a little bit hard, I think, for us to call, because this is, like, I feel like there's 2 factors here. 1, what does he actually get done with his dropship? And 2, what time is he moving out? Because he's sitting on 2 bases, 5 facts, right?
Well, another thing to point out is that this is not an area where, I mean, you can harass them with the carriers, but it seems like there's enough space between the 2 of them that it's like, it's somewhat more manageable than some more abusable spots here. I mean, you can hit the natural, but I think most of the bottom right, if Terran continues to expand down there, can't really be touched by carriers. If you've got a solid ground game, we need to see the island.
It's a good point, actually.
Yeah.
Is this actually a carrier map? Like, the islands say yes, but what about everything else?
Exactly. I think whenever you have islands, okay, the carriers have some value there, because if you have enough carriers, they'll never reclaim your island. By the way, the island has been canceled, so that's
huge.
That is the beginning of Light, I would say, taking a pretty substantial lead here. You do need to get a third base up, and this is actually usually the weak point here for the Protoss player when he goes Reaver into carrier, is trying to get the third base up, because you're barely, everything's sort of patched together with duct tape. You know, you're not playing a solid macro game. You don't always have the most robust army. You're just trying to get enough out here. So let's see what happens with this push. He forces siege.
Now look at how close actually these two ramps are to each other. That's kind of funny. I'm excited. Okay, I see there's an SCV for Light down at that third base that you would expect him to take. And this is buildable down here. So he's just starting to build turrets. This looks like Light is going to dominate, right? Like, he should be able to do this. Like, just the fact that this is buildable terrain down here helps out so much to have a few extra turrets.
There's also enough Goliaths and Wraiths that the carriers don't really... Yeah, you know, a lot of times when you have enough carriers, you snipe the tanks, and then everything comes in. But you need about 6 carriers. 4 can do it, but if they have enough, it becomes... It's hard. It's hard, you know? When you do this carrier tech also, you don't have much time to get speed lots. It would seem like you would, but oh my god! You almost lost that.
Oh, he actually starts to attack with that group of units. Looks like he just loses a bunch. Doesn't really do any damage there. But yeah, this push is really strong. And those, I can't even express enough how helpful it is to have a few turrets mixed in there. You see he's got enough vultures that they're going to buffer for the tanks very, very well. And now he can really get into his Goliath production also.
Yeah, I mean, I think Terran is close to closing this. I like the counterattack idea, and I think it's probably the best you could ask for. The problem is that you will not have any time to stop the Terran from coming up here and actually smashing your second base. And this attack over here, this does not smash the Terran second base. Like, eventually enough Goliaths are going to come out. They can kill the Reaver and the carriers. He's going to come across here with some of these tanks. Again, a low HP Reaver goes down, and now it's just too little too late here. I think we're close to GG, actually.
Yeah. It doesn't seem like Stork can really do anything from here. I kind of liked how he opened and he dropped the blocked the drop rather very, very well. But it seems like the proximity of like Light space to his base plus some buildable terrain there really helped Light out. Like he pushed right over with no real hesitation. And yeah, I mean, this is what Stork has going on right now. He's trying to break through to do a little bit of a counterattack with his units. He's flying around with the carriers, but
yeah, at this point, it's up to the Terran to simply fend off the carriers, and then the Protoss is pretty much checkmated. There's no real way to recover.
Man. He's like losing his whole army while it's right-clicked on like neutral structures. It's not a good thing. But yeah, Light is way up in supply. Stork has 1 base.
I will tell you though, man. I like how Stork put most of his army in his main. The carriers are out in high enough numbers they can actually gun down anything that's targeted. That's one of the problems when you first get carriers out, is they can't do damage that quickly.
And this is important. Like, if he can force a cancel on this third, for instance, with these 2 goons, which doesn't seem likely.
That tank missed like 4 times, by the way. It's crazy. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's
by the
high
way,
ground advantage, man. It's pretty real.
It's pretty insane. Now, the carriers, again, are going to come in here. Now, it's very unlikely that Protoss wins, but I have to say Stork really did save enough. He has got his carrier count up high enough.
Yeah.
That I'm kind of blown away by what I'm seeing here.
Well, both of them are in a bit of trouble right now, for sure.
I think if he could actually...
If he can go back and forth and force the Goliaths to keep going back and forth, well, there is a chance here for Stork, for real.
If the carriers could just get over here and shoot down the tanks, maybe... I mean, it's a big maybe, but... Again, if the Goliath count is just high enough, it can cover the tanks and can defend the expansions. I mean, Stork should be dead, right? But...
Yeah,
I'm just trying to look at all possibilities.
Like the carrier's really doing a lot here, and I mean, he's slowing things down as best he can with his main army. I feel like he should do some fake outs here with the carriers. Like, the thing is, there's 2 mines that are spotting them go back and forth.
Yeah, he needs an observer over that.
Yeah, if he could just like make him think that the carriers are going to one area and he goes to the other with them,
yeah,
then the carriers will do either kill all the tanks or kill the natural. You know, both of those are huge moments.
Okay, the carriers are coming back now. Now, also, if he can get the tanks and they're unsieged, that would be another big moment.
Yeah, I think Light's army for sure is way, way stronger right now.
Yeah. Well, he has.
But again, the
too.
carriers are a great equalizer. Those 2 spider mines are unreal how much they've done.
Well, they're even giving high ground vision here. It's crazy.
Yeah, no, they're doing a lot. Just the fact that they see the carriers each time, those are the MVPs of this game.
Problem is that Light should eventually, with the tanks he already has, if he just makes Goliaths out of all of his factories. And there is one thing we haven't really talked about it yet, but Stork is actually trying to carve a hole. He has actually done it in the upper right corner of the map, so that his army can move more fluidly and maybe avoid the tanks. And let's see what happens with this. We saw it and we didn't really talk about it because
that's a big deal.
Getting shot down over there, but if he can just move his army where the tanks are not, suddenly, I mean, first of all, guys, Goliaths really can't fight ground, even just Dragoons and Zealots.
No,
Slow Zealots
They do poorly. And they're only 1-1 Goliaths as well.
That's
right?
very,
he never got the science facility as far as I know, just to hit this push a little bit quicker. The thing is, he killed the natural, so it felt like a very winning moment, but you can see Stork really utilizing these carriers very well. He's moving his army well. And Light's starting to have a hard time, but he does have that 3rd base up, so you know, he's still got superior income.
Well, now, if this is shot down, I mean, the ground arm, hold on. Crazy moment here. The tanks are going to run up. The carriers are actually whipping around. Yeah, he needs to pull that back immediately.
He cannot do that.
What a fascinating
this game has turned,
fight this is. This is so funny.
It's turned so strange.
Because here's the thing. He can actually take this out. The tank, by the count, by the way, is not tremendous.
No. It's like enough to deal with these goons with units with them. Like, again, the armies together, Light's army wins.
I almost wonder if it would have been better at some point in time for him to just target down the gas here, just to slow down the production. I mean, vultures are not helpful in a moment like this.
Oh my god, he's actually fighting against the goons right now.
Okay, now, where's the rest of Protoss army?
Right there.
Is that it? Is that all the ground he has?
Yeah, just about. I think there might be a couple units coming out of the out of the gates right now or something. But look, it's like 2 goons that walk into siege tank fire. It's like pointless actually to even have them come down. But look, if the carriers can pick everything off.
Well, it looks like he might be able to stop the Nexus from being shot down.
That's a big moment. Like, you need to do something here. Okay. All right, he gets rid of all the tanks.
How many carriers does he have right now? Is that
I think
7?
he has 5.
Is it 5?
Is it more than 5?
I mean, maybe.
Is it 7? Maybe it's 7.
It feels like it's more than 5.
Yeah, the Interceptor Cloud feels like it's more than 5. But I'm trying. 1, 2. I see. Oh, I think I see 6 actually. It's hard.
It's
I'm not carrier Rain Man, dude. I can't just look at the stack and tell you.
Well, the account. Well, let's look at the supply counts for a second. 74 to 105. Now, one thing that Terran can do is continue to expand to the bottom. This is something we talked about earlier on, is that the carriers are never going to get to the bottom of the map, but they can get to the main. Uh-oh.
Yeah, he's starting to pick
3 remaining. I think you were right. It probably was 5.
Yeah, because see, there's one that's not drag selected, so. Well, I mean, Stork has done like an admirable job here.
Well, Stork.
But now we're on 2-2 upgrades for Light. He's taken another base. It's just the carriers are stuck in a certain area, and Light is doing good enough against them. You know.
You know, one thing that's exciting about this is how close Stork made this game, all things considered.
Yeah.
I mean, I was really confident the game was. We were going to be done with the commercial by now and in game too. You know,
I know. Yeah.
When we saw the natural go down, I mean, usually that's about as straightforward as you can get. But Stork has really shown how much you can abuse the carriers in the ground game and kind of make the Terran really work for the win.
Yeah. It's hard to catch them as long as you have some terrain changes and some things to fly over. It's very difficult for Terran to actually secure kills on them. A lot of times it comes down to denying economy more, you know, and forcing it so that eventually the interceptors can't really be built, or maybe you don't have enough ground army to go with them. And forcing that fight.
Okay, so Protoss has this third base in the upper right.
God, he's actually having the goons hit the Goliaths reasonably well, but it's just not quite enough here for Stork.
Okay, so let's point out the Natural's about to mine out. Protoss is going to have one base, but Protoss has somewhat some ability to be fluid in the middle of the map here. Now, the moment those carriers decide to go to the bottom, that is like, you better make that work.
Yeah, well, I think he's realizing he better make something, anything work right now because he's losing control of everything again.
Right.
Yeah.
GG, he taps out. This was a great game.
That was a really fascinating game, and it the way that Light dealt with the carriers, I think, was brilliant. Like, he skipped the second armory, he skipped the science facility until a bit later, went up to like 5 factories, got his engineering bay going, and just kind of pushed, you know? He took it slowly enough, but pushed in strongly before Stork hit any sort of critical mass.
Yeah.
Really punished him, and if he had not hit that quick timing, Stork would definitely win when you see how well he did off one base.
Yeah, what's crazy is had the third base gotten up, it's like, I almost wonder if he should have just taken the third in the upper right. That seems like that's a place where you can both defend and you're still attacking them with your carriers.
But an entrenched push might do better there, you know?
I think I know what you're saying.
Yeah, against the dropship though, like,
but if
it's too bad he didn't really try to clear that.
If you see dropship opening, maybe you want to take the upper right. Upper left, it's...
The thing is, I think you can battle the dropship opening in a number of ways. Like, why not just ferry a few units down there?
We're going to game number 2 after this short break. That'll be on match point. Don't go away.
이번 시즌 처음 뵀잖아요.
네.
아, 근데 이렇게 오래 뵐지는 사실 잘 몰랐어요. 아니, 왜냐면 예선 때부터 조금 힘드셨잖아요. 서울에서
그쵸,
떨어지고 광주까지 가서 제 목표가 시드 획득이라고는 하셨지만 이 돌아온 복귀 시즌에 진짜 여기까지 올라올 줄 아셨어요?
아니요, 저도 방금 말하셨다시피 예선에서 계속 떨어지다 보니까 여기까지 올 줄은 저도 몰랐어요.
이번 저저전도 사실 김민철 선수가 많이 도와줬을 것 같아요.
네, 이번에 거의 김민철 선수랑만 연습을 해가지고 민철이한테 도움을 많이 받았는데 배신을 하고 이용호 선수 쪽에 붙을 것 같아요. 마음의 준비를 하고 있어요.
만약에 내가 우승을 해서 우승 상금을 획득한다면 내가 정말 피를 나눈 형제 같은 우리 민철이에게
아니요 피를 나눈 적은 없으니까 상금은 상금이고.
이영호 김성대 경기를 봤을 때 이영호의 빈틈을 난 그때 이미 찾았다. 찾으셨나요?
아니요, 이용호 선수의 빈틈은 봐도 없는 것 같고, 그래가지고 8강 김성대 선수를 진짜 되게 월드컵 보듯이 응원 열심히 했거든요. 제가 결승 갈 수 있는 그 유일한 기회라고 생각을 했는데 김성대 선수가 너무 좀 얄밉네요. 이길 거면은 확실히 좀 2판 말고 1판만 더 열심히 해가지고 3판 이겼다면 어땠을까 싶었는데.
근데 뭐 김성대 선수가 얄미웠다고 하셨는데 지금 본인 경기할 때 그 빅토리 옆에 때는 본인 사진.
자, 두 선수의 운명이 갈렸습니다. 4강 진출을 이뤄낸 선수는 김명훈 선수고요.
사람들의 반응을 혹시 아시나요? 굉장히 얄밉다고.
그 반응을 보고 속으로 되게 뿌듯했습니다.
약간 의도로 하신 거예요?
네, 당연하죠. 그렇게 생각을 하고 컨셉을 잡고 찍었기 때문에 이번에도 그 사진이 꼭 나올 수 있도록 이겼으면 좋겠는데.
한번 보여주세요. 근데 지금 이 표정이 송은이 씨 닮았다는 얘기가 있어요. 저는 잘 모르겠어요.
그쵸.
네, 저는 잘 모르겠는데 많은 분들이 좀 그렇게 느끼시는 것 같은데.
안경 때문에 그런 것 같은데 솔직히 별로 안 닮았고요.
안경 때문 맞아요?
아니 뭐 서건희 씨 닮았다고 하는데 솔직히 뭐 8강 앞두고 있는 그 김태경 선수가 더 그 박미선 씨 닮은 아닌가? 예 아무튼 저는 그렇게 안 닮은 것 같아요.
아,
예.
네네네. 4강 그 경기 기대하고 있겠습니다. 파이팅!
화이팅!
울트라 기어로 부드럽게 이긴다. LG 울트라 기어 게이밍 모니터.
사이다, 칠성 사이다. 우리 입맛엔 칠성 사이다가 좋아요.
울트라 기어로 선명하게 이긴다. LG 울트라 기어 게이밍 모니터.
뭐야?
오빠가 맞춰.
핫식스잖아.
그냥 핫식스가 아니야. 핫식스 더킹이라고.
뭐야 색깔이 하나 더 있네 릴리야?
핫식스 더킹 펀치야.
이거 무슨 맛인데? 뭐 과일맛 나는 거야 이거?
이건 열대 과일 맛이 나서 여자들이 굉장히 좋아한다고.
이 과일맛 나면서 되게 상큼한데?
울트라 기어로 선명하게 이긴다. LG 울트라 기어 게이밍 모니터.
ASL 시즌 9 Reflection.
Welcome back. We're going into game 2. I have to say, it was really impressive how close Stork made that series. All things considered, I mean, he lost his natural, was teching on 2 Stargate, carriers, and still made Light really work for the win. It goes to show you what can happen if a Protoss is teching for carriers in a position where carriers are strong and they just have enough. I mean, had Stork had that third base up and running and defending all drops, I think maybe he actually takes that.
Oh, well, if he had the third base up, yes, he wins 100%. Yeah. And if he hadn't lost his natural, he wins 100%. Like, if you look at how close he made it with those carriers, so...
If you do a tech like that with carriers and it's on a map like, let's say, 12 versus 6, you're never going to win. You have to be in the right spot.
Yeah, moves like this from Stork, like, the thing is, I think it's a very strong way to play, but it's like a litmus test for Terran players. It's like, are you one of the best Terrans in the world? Yep. Like, it's like, yeah, I am. He's like, oh, shoot! Because then he dies, right? But I feel like if you go down a couple rungs, like, to the 10th best Terran player in the world, they probably just die to that, you know? Because you have to hit this sharp time, you have to cancel so much of the things you wanted to do as Terran. And,
yeah. It also shows a pretty cool idea on that map of going for carriers and then, even if Terran has control of the center, carving a hole through the upper right, and then using that as a launching pad for attacks there, where Terran has to pick one. Either you have the middle and don't have your natural, or you're defending your natural. Anyways, game 2, match point, one-on-one map. Let's do this.
게임 준비 완료. 매치 포인트에서 게임을 시작합니다.
Okay, Light in the bottom left, and Protoss in the upper right. Real quick here, let's
Light
talk...
and Protoss. No respect for Stork.
Did I say that? Yeah, sorry. Stork in the upper right. Let's talk about some of the stuff that can happen on this map. Gas steals, specifically in this spawn for Protoss and this spawn for Terran, are an option. I don't know if it's going to happen this time, but it's one of the only strats you can do on maps like this. Run in there and just steal their gas and run back out.
Yeah, no, it can be very, very strong. Well, yeah, I don't think you run out your gas with probe endlessly.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah. No, I think gas steal is good. Like, obviously you can do proxies and stuff. I think proxies, I think, across the board are seeing decreased use. From my experience, I think basically, the thing is, everyone continues to get better at the game all the time. Even the worst players are getting better all the time. And at this point, Terrans have Marine and SCV micro that is so strong that I think that proxy gates just in general are like... I remember even for myself, like a a year or 2 years ago, I was hitting my head against the wall dying to Proxy Zealot, and nowadays I'm like, I smile and just kill the Zealot, you know?
Yeah,
it's
I mean,
like,
there's a point in time where, you know, just that defender's advantage, the fact that workers are so strong, too, in general in StarCraft 1, I think, yeah, the more time you have to just practice against proxies, maybe, I mean, even, let's say PvZ, for instance, with the 2 gates, the 2-gate proxy you see, that almost never wins the game outright.
Yeah,
that propels the game into a weird spot. It's actually not necessarily like a end the game quickly opener, unless the Zerg player doesn't know how to handle it.
Yeah, some pros were actually talking about that. I forget where I saw this. Maybe it was a Jin video or something, but they said that like even if you have the wrong build order, if you scout it, you should win every time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, really? Wow, okay. I wasn't aware of that. I thought it was more of a build order thing, but yeah, people's micro at this point is so outstanding.
Yeah, it's really incredible to see.
I mean, we see this game that neither side is going for any sort of proxy. Well, I mean, it's not like Terran really does proxy very often, but
no, I mean, maybe
I'm not
counter
surprised.
Nexus on.
You know, you try to Zealot rush light, and you're just gonna have some dead Zealots unless you run them home. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, this is just so far, you know, looking normal for Protoss. We'll probably see the Protoss put on some light pressure, and then we'll find out if there's going to be any dramatic teching.
Yeah. And here comes out just a very normal factory. I wonder what the mid game is going to look like here. Like, is Light going to play just very macro intensive? Is he going to try to attack early on?
We've had some Protosses like hammering a Terran that goes on 3 bases. You know, this is a place where speed shuttles are very strong. The main is very large. This is kind of common on a lot of maps. You end up with a large main, but this one, I think especially, the distance from the 3rd.
Yeah, it's pretty far.
You know, on some maps, like let's say Neo Sylphid, that 3rd base, assuming you take the one closer to the center, it wraps around back to the main, which is a little bit more of a neater area to try to defend.
Okay.
From shuttles, where if the 3rd base is just a straight line far away, you can really start to have the Terran a little bit too spread out.
Okay.
So we've seen if they go for reverse, speed shuttles made and then continue to be made, where you have enough observers out, and then you're really pumping in a lot more shuttles and speed lots and trying to hit different locations. But Terran doesn't have, I think, to go for 3 bases. Maybe we'll see a pretty powerful 2-base push. I don't think we're going to have carriers, though.
No, this is an Arbiter map.
Or if we do, it's like some kind of really weird cheese.
But yeah, it's definitely an Arbiter map, so that's what I would much more expect to see. By the way, Light, if watching Light's stream and his TVPs was a job that paid money, I would be the richest man in the world. So I can actually say that he does not do these types of Vulture openings very often on stream. On stream, he really likes the initial bunker. He likes to get into tank before Vulture generally. That's like his normal way to play. But here he's been doing the initial Vulture. It's, I mean, it's a pretty different opener as far as the openers go, but it gives you some different strengths and whatnot.
I think also there's a separate meta that's going on because all these pros are full-time streamers to some degree or another. And so if you're doing the same thing on stream over and over, people could just look at what you're doing and try to counter it, you know?
Absolutely. Now, he's making only Vultures at the moment. He's kind of scouting out with them. Probably has mines about to finish. And then, of course, you just kind of laid out mines to have some good reconnaissance on the map. Stork going directly to observers. Yeah, there it is. Light does love to get a healthy number of Vultures out early on and kind of lay mines everywhere. And I've noticed that's something that a lot of Protosses like to do against him. Even though his opener might be a little bit different. We generally see about 3 Vultures laying mines.
Right.
Is they'll kind of go across the map with Observer Goon and try to put pressure on, because he generally won't even have like siege mode or anything.
Right, right. A lot of Terrans actually get siege mode as late as humanly possible.
Yeah.
You don't have to. There's some players that get it like first thing, but
if
you get it first thing,
both are very valid ways to play.
If you've given up siege mode first thing, then if you get siege mode immediately as your upgrade, you're giving up a lot of other opportunities to try to engage with the Protoss. But that's not a wrong way to play.
Unless you're doing a gasless expand, siege mode first basically is a flag saying that you're not going to attack.
Yeah, yeah. Like when the observer first gets across the map and they see 3 or 4 tanks in siege mode, it's like, oh, he has no factories and, you know, it's not going to do anything. I better get ready to stop his third from landing.
So, very kind of quiet early game here. Finds a pylon. He'll get out of here once those mines get cleared. That blows vultures if they do get cleared. But both sides just kind of clearing out things that their opponents have already done on the map. And going for, so far, it looks like just regular macro builds. Now, Stork should be throwing his third down.
Yeah, we're going to have that third come up here pretty quickly. And now we want to watch and see, is there going to be any kind of... Because for now, it looks like Stork is just doing a pretty bland... I should say bland, that's crude. He's doing a very...
I was going to say, Tasus, that's very crude.
I know. Well, he's not doing anything like going for Reavers. He's not going to go for carries. He's not going to go for Arbiters right away. He's getting his 3 gates up. We'll see a Citadel thrown down eventually. And Protoss will go for a control game.
Yeah, I think he's just going to go macro into Arbiters here, which I think is a good way to play the map overall.
I agree. One thing, again, to remember, too, for everybody who's watching, is that there's actually not a lot of bases on this map.
Yeah, it's a small map.
Yeah.
You know, you really can't get more than 4 bases very comfortably. Maybe you can take that 5th. But, like, basically the high ground above the mineral-only base is the point of contention a lot of the time.
There's no Citadel. I think he's going carriers.
Oh, really?
Yeah, well, the Citadel, the Cybernetics core is spinning.
Oh, my God, really?
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Now, there's
Tell me he forgot range and he's not just going to... Oh, my God, he's going to go carriers.
Yeah. Now, a couple things here. One is that... I've seen Bisu do this before, but you get like 4 carriers and then stop and go into a ground game and hope that they overproduce Goliaths.
Yeah.
You can end up with even the best players in the world locked into making too many anti-air units, and you can just win from there.
Yeah. I'm surprised, though, because this is not a map that I really consider a carrier map at all.
Let's explain to everybody why that is, because some people might look at carriers and just say they seem pretty strong, right? We see, you know, them do a lot of damage. The problem in this case is that the players are in opposite spawns on the map, which means there's a lot of land area that Goliaths can move across and push the carriers back.
And there's ramps and things, but there's not like a lot of areas that the carriers can just fly over and they're immune to Goliaths. That's like a big thing that you look for. Like, for anyone, a very popular map that we've played a lot recently would be like Overwatch. There's a lot of areas where you can just fly over and the Goliaths have to go way around to try to attack the carriers. Here, that doesn't really exist as much. And in fact, this map is well known for being a good map for recalls because the main base is kind of long and wide open, and it takes a long time for your army to get back, like you were explaining earlier.
Well, also, you know, we talked about how a lot of other Protoss players, like Rain, for instance, have done aggressive shuttle plays and just hit various areas. Snow as well, we've seen. So Stork is doing a different style here. We don't know if this is going to be...
He is more of a carrier guy anyways.
Well, he also is from a different era, I think, in his success. And this was pretty standard. It's not... I'm kind of holding my breath here to see how this goes. My instinct tells me this wouldn't be as strong as some other plays on this map, but sometimes you bring a play out from a different time period and maybe Light's not going to be as ready for this. I don't know.
Well, the thing is, the build is somewhat straightforward. You guys scanners pretty early, so he knows what's going on.
Yeah.
His starport is a bit late, I have to say. It is definitely a little bit late. So,
by the way, this is radically different carrier tech from what we saw in Game 1.
Yes,
the parameters are totally different. This is 3 bases, then the carriers come up. So he'll have speed lots, he'll have a lot of Dragoons, and he'll have... It won't be a balancing act for the Protoss to produce out of gateways and starports like it is on 2 base. 2 base is really... You're kind of testing the very limits of the race itself.
Look at this, though. Light is actually walking around the normal path that you would take on this map, and it looks like he just wants to siege the natural immediately here. Stork is doing a little bit of a counterattack, but I feel like this has more potential from Light than it does from Stork.
Well, I mean, when you get siege tanks set up and it hasn't been stopped yet, I mean, then again, he could just come in here and sandwich this. Let's see.
Yeah, this is weird, though. He sent his tanks up the ramp, which means Stork is going to get a bunch of them for free. In fact, Light is going to lose his entire army. It was very strange how he tried to go up the ramp there. Now he just loses everything.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I'm a little bit confused by this because I feel like everything we said was true, that carries aren't great on this, but then when Terran pushes like this.
Well, if you lose your first army as Terran, that's
against carriers.
Yeah, well, you see just GG's. He's not even going to try from there.
Okay, I'm very confused about that.
Okay, so his starport was rather late, even though he got a very quick armory. I found that to be a little bit peculiar. I'm not sure why that is. Maybe he just forgot the starport. Yeah, I'm not sure.
I don't know. I don't know, man.
Well,
we're both pretty confused right now.
Normally against a play like that, like what Stork did there, you'll generally go for the 2-1 timing on 8 or 9 facts.
Sure, yeah.
You'll do this massive push and try to nail them like right before Zaw legs or something like that. But he walked around in an interesting way, and if he had set up in a more conservative manner, he could have traded much better against Stork's army.
Sure,
but he walked half his tanks up a ramp against a wall with no buffer against, he sees Zealots and Goons up there.
And also, there's enough tanks cloistered together that you get dropped on that, you will end up losing everything. I don't know.
Never go up the ramp that is a rule of Terran. Just don't go up ramps against pros. Don't do it. It's so stupid.
What a strange moment, though, because, yeah, I mean, when I saw the push coming out, I thought, okay, well, he hasn't spotted it, but still, I think Protoss has enough that he shouldn't be out on the map at all. Anyways, we're going to go to map 3, Neo Sylphid. Right now, Stork vs. Light tied up 1-1.
울트라 기어로 부드럽게 이긴다. LG 울트라 기어 게이밍 모니터.
마법의 음료 하식스를 마시게 되면은 엔돌핀이 확 돌면서 머리에 수분이 공급되고 그리고 뇌가 바로바로 한 모금만 마셔도 뭔가 알 거야. 100ml 더 늘어나고 마시게 되면 진짜 마법의 음료. 신제품 빨강색.
반칙 아닙니까? 그것은 전설의 음료 하식스.
올 때 하식스 많이 마시자. 진짜 괜찮지?
맛있다 이거.
파랑색, 빨강색 맛 여러분들 많이들 진짜 마셔주시고 진짜로 거짓말 안 치고 맛있습니다.
울트라 기어로 선명하게 이긴다. LG 울트라 기어 게이밍 모니터.
너무 많이 마셨다.
청정제주 숙취 비법과 탄산의 만남. 숙취엔 가스강.
그리고 아무도 없었다. 여러분은 소문으로만 존재하는 고스트라 불리는 테란의 특수 요원에 대해 알고 계신가요? 고스트는 상상할 수 없을 만큼 잔혹한 훈련을 통해 탄생한 인간 병기입니다. 훈련을 모두 통과한 고스트 요원들은 은신 기술이 탑재된 특수 군복과 기계화 부대를 한순간 무력화시킬 수 있는 락다운 장비, 천재시변급 공격을 지시할 수 있는 레이저 포인터를 지급받습니다. 그거 말고요. 이러한 특수장비와 강력한 신체 능력을 두루 갖춘 고스트 요원들은 엄청난 명중률의 저격 능력과 끈질긴 생명력을 자랑하기 때문에 자치령 내부에선 지금도 비밀리에 이들의 양성을 진행하고 있는 것으로 알려졌습니다. 마침 여기 비밀 임무를 수행 중인 유령 요원을 발견했습니다. 적진에서 멀지 않은 거리. 고스트 요원은 클로킹을 시작합니다. 극한의 상황에서도 생존하는 굶주린 특수 요원에게 카카로는 아주 소중한 단백질원이죠. 식사를 마친 고스트 요원, 적진에 침투해 자신이 지금까지 배워온 자신의 존재 이유를 드러냅니다. 당하는 상대 진영에서는 귀신이 들렸다는 등의 소문과 함께 흉흉한 불안감이 조성됩니다. 고스트, 유령이라 불리는 까닭은 바로 여기에 있겠죠. 고스트 요원의 무서운 점은 여기에서 끝나지 않습니다. 정의의 고스트 요원의 상징과도 같은 고출력 레이저 포인터. 그 무엇보다도 파괴적이고 강력한 공격이 개시됩니다.
공격이 감지되었습니다.
더 무서운 점은 자신 역시 흔적도 없이 사라져 고스트라는 자신의 정체성을 완성시킨다는 것이죠. 고스트 요원의 자폭 의도가 기밀 유지를 위한 희생이었는지, 단순히 거리를 잘못 잰 건지, 장비의 연구가 덜 된 것인지는 알 수 없지만 배터리 잔량만 있으면 보이지 않기 때문에 고스트는 비밀 요원으로서의 존엄성을 지키며 생을 마감합니다. 의도가 무엇이었든 결국 그곳엔 아무도 없었습니다.
울트라 기어로 선명하게 이긴다. LG 울트라 기어 게이밍 모니터.
ASL 시즌 9 Refression.
Welcome back, everybody. We're going to go to Neo Sylphid for map 3. The entire break, me and Artosis were talking about that last game.
Yeah.
It was a weird one. I mean, what Stork did, that is a build. It's actually one of the older PvT ways to play.
Yeah.
Very delayed Templar tech. You're investing. Once you get enough Dragoons out and enough Observers out, you invest all your gas into carriers and the rest of the minerals into Zealots. And you're looking for a fight, essentially. You're looking for a fight at that moment as you try to grow and build your carrier count up. Now, we didn't expect it on that map, and I think we were not off for saying that. It's not common for people to play like that. In fact, Arbiter Tech and or shuttle bombarding to try to end the game is more common. But I think Light might have been so thrown off by that because the push didn't make any sense.
Push was very weird.
Yeah.
Like, well, especially how he handled it. Like, did he think that Stork was attacking him? Because, I mean, he started to, but his army would have been there by then. I don't know.
Anyways,
very weird.
Game 3 is ready on Neo Sylphid. Let's see which player takes the lead.
네오실 PD에서 게임을 시작합니다.
So we have Stork in the bottom left and Light in the bottom right. I'm going to just say this right now because we've had carriers 2 games in a row, and we've definitely casted a long PvT series where we never see carriers at all. You can go carriers on this map. If we were to see it in the spawns, it would be Protoss at the left and Terran at the top, for instance.
That would be better spawns.
Where you can hit their main. So now we already said on the previous map that we wouldn't have it, so I'm not counting carriers out.
I am.
Anymore.
There's
no
way. There's no way. Not here.
This is a map that I feel like, I mean, again, Arbiter, most of the modern maps we have tend to encourage
Arbiter is better than Carrier.
Arbiter is more robust into a late game. It allows for more options.
Carrier, you're actually looking more, in my opinion, for your opponent to make some mistakes than you are to kill your opponent in the correct way. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, with Arbiter, you have a lot of utility and a lot of things you can do. When you go Carrier, Terran is supposed to hit you with a timing attack, and if everything is kind of gone fine, he should be able, if he's good enough, to hit the timing attack and kill you. Now, obviously, if you get ahead in the early game or something, then that changes the rules, but I'm talking in a standard normal game, like, I don't think carriers are, like, really the way.
Yeah, one thing, again, just because we're having so much carrier emphasis from the Protoss so far, there are builds where you can go Arbiter, maybe 1 or 2, and then go Carrier as well. Try to surprise them that way. I don't think it's the best way to play.
Those are the weirdest builds. I don't even understand when those happen.
It's, yeah. It's
what's going on? You do a recall, and then I see the Cybernetics core spin. I'm like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
What is wrong with you?
I think it depends on how much damage the first recall did. But there's a lot of different ways to go Carriers. And so we saw the middle of the roadway. That's basically the safest way to go Carriers. Was on map 2, and that's probably a better way to play on some of the other maps we have. But on map 1, what we saw was Reaver play into carriers where you're going to try to get the island. You can use the Reaver to win most of your fights if they come at you, and then you have carriers very early. It's very hard to deal with. There's an even earlier version of that, which is 2 base carriers with almost nothing behind it.
Yeah.
And you have to disguise that pretty well.
You have to hope your opponent didn't make a ComSat station.
Yes.
That's like what that build is hinged upon.
Yes. Yeah, because the thing is, even if they scan and they don't see any gateways, it's like, oh, you're making carriers. You're not like, that's weird. Is he going mass robo facilities? What could this tech possibly be? So those are the 3 stages from riskiest, and I guess in this case it would be reverse order. It would be from the middle of the road to the riskiest carrier tech. There is carrier tech you can do later, but this time around we have a very different build. And so now that we've unpacked those concepts with carriers for you guys, what we have now is an extremely aggressive Dragoon Rush.
Yes, so this is 2-gate range. Like, he is going to really get in there and try to batter Light down. Now, Light has actually gone for a gasless expand, and this means that he will be getting siege mode no matter what.
Yes.
Like, you basically, unless you're playing against, I don't know, like Nexus first or something, you'll get siege mode every time and probably almost every time against that anyways with a gasless. So I would say build order-wise, this is pretty good for Light, but you have to take it really seriously. Because if they really want to, if the Protoss wants to, they can make so many goons here before you have siege mode that you have to like have all of your natural SCVs repairing almost.
Now, the Protoss has to sack a surprising number of probes when they do this. And so you need to actually come in there and get the job done. From the Protoss' side, because Terran's already got a base up. Already this game is going in very different directions. Protoss investing in damage early on. Terran, by the way, I'm sorry, what did Terran scout? Terran's just now scouting, right?
No, this is the second SCV.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you had one out there, and then you got to kind of chase it down, because what Terran really wants to do in this situation is get in to see if you're going DTs or something like that. Because a lot of times 2-gate range turns into a DT build.
Right.
And if the Terran can get an SCV in and see which way it is, then the build becomes much more powerful. You can see he's blindly making the eBay because he has to.
Yeah.
Because
it's very smart.
If a DT's coming, you're just dead.
Oh, this SCV might just... Okay, he's going to be stopped now. He sees it. Even though he's not going DTs, you want him to at least be afraid of that. Oh, my God. Well, this is my game. Oh, never mind. My games, I don't have a probe there to stop that. I'm just cursing as it goes into my main, but I think seeing the Nexus, he's not going to be worried about DTs.
Yeah, I think you still make a turret to be safe, but now it's up to Stork kind of what he wants to do, and I see a fat building at the bottom of his base. If that's a Stargate, oh my God.
Baby.
Oh my God. Stork
is
either a genius or a madman, I can't tell. Okay, this is shocking. He actually walks in with 5 goons and starts targeting SCVs. Now that's the tricky part, because you're supposed to wait for 6, so you one-shot SCVs. Instead, he's like, I want to damage a bunch of your SCVs and get my goons damaged.
So Terran loses a lot of minerals just trying to repair this bunker. And I love this. So he can't target that because an eBay's over it. This is one of the oldest tricks in the book, but it's still viable.
You never actually see that against this.
Yeah.
I can't remember ever seeing that.
Yeah, there's a lot of different tricks you can do for that. So remember earlier I was talking about the riskiest carrier builds?
Mm-hmm.
This is an iteration.
And what did I say that it relies upon?
Not having a scanner.
That's right. And if you can't get into scout, what do you have to make?
I don't know.
Turrets.
Turrets, thank you.
And if you have to make turrets early on, what does that slow down? A scanner.
A scanner.
Almost tasteless.
Yeah. I got a D+ on that
sitting here
oral test.
Tasteless sitting here with fish eyes looking at me. Lifeless, purely black fish eyes.
There's no soul.
Yeah, there's no soul behind those eyes.
Well, I'll tell you what. It's funny because, we did the little carrier spiel at the start, and I said, but this won't be a carrier game because he's going to go for a Dragoon Rush. And I actually thought he might try to hide like a Robo or do a DT Rush behind this. I know you mentioned
those
that
are
earlier.
more common ones.
Yeah, and I thought, okay, well, that makes a lot of sense. Now, that's just to make sure that he knows if and when that's going to be taken. You can't push out with just siege tanks to take that, by the way. So even though eventually that pylon will be killed off, it buys time.
The normal third on this map is normally the gas one. Anyways, so yeah, maybe that has dual purposes. Like that might be to also scout dropships or something as well, you know?
By the way, this is such an exceptional series. Again, it's like so cool to see how he's approached this, how Stork has approached this. Now here are the scanners.
So this is, by the way,
good. He sees it.
Yeah, that's a huge scan. This is like the third time that Light has gone. I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch game number 2, but he's going up to 5 factories. He did this in game 1 on Horizon, but that was a more normal thing because it's like a starport. I'm not sure why he's gone 5 facts here. I think that this was to counter what Stork was doing with the initial 2-gate opener, because with 2-gate you either tech or you double expand behind.
I feel like I see this
right?
a lot.
So he goes
though,
5 fact to try to kill his opponent.
A lot of people go 5 fact now, it seems like. In my experience, just like
at high levels, I don't think as much.
I see him do it against Beast with a decent amount. It feels like I might be wrong. It seems like a lot of Terrans are really messing with 2-base pushes of different stripes because Protosses, if they're not perfectly prepared for it, they do just die. Now, this push is coming out. Notice that Terran went back into making Marines. He just needs something that can address air.
Those buffer for tanks so well. It takes 4 goon shots to kill a Marine.
Yeah, that as well. There's almost as many tanks as there are Dragoons.
Now look at this. He's actually coming in from a really funny angle. I like this move a lot from Stork.
Yeah, the counterattack is
he knows he could be in a lot of trouble, so he's just like, all right, let's go do this. Trying to make the army come back. Maybe he can get damage done, stop reinforcements. Any of these things can be very useful. But look at this. Light's defense is really, really strong.
Should he have hid the Stargates? Like, should he have put them up like above the mineral only or something? I mean,
yeah, maybe.
It just seems like there's always a chance that their scans go down and try to hit, other expansion spots, and then maybe you just don't get that one scan off.
I think that's a good idea. Like what you're saying, like go hide them in a very random spot. Yeah, I think that would be better. Because here it's like as soon as you scan it, you're like, okay, well, I know exactly. Like when you scan those 2 things, you know everything Stork has.
Hey, one little thing about them. Actually, hold on. Let's see how this fight goes here, because this is again. Terran mission accomplished as far as taking out that extra, the only other base that Protoss has. But now Protoss is going to win this fight. The tank count goes back down to maybe like 1 or 2, which is back at the natural here. And Stork will get to reclaim the space. So one thing I want to point out real quick here, some big brain stuff. Because a lot of Protosses are making wall-ins at the bottom to stop drops, as dropship play has grown in popularity, that's also where their tech is hidden. If you go to the back end of where their minerals are, you can basically scan there, and you're usually going to see if they're hiding something, right? Now, there's 4 carriers out. This is funny because we rarely get games that have the same unit comp but with different timings set up out here. It's good to see how each time, how, in this case, Light addresses it. 4 carriers, by the way, is the number that does damage. The number where you really can start to hurt the Terran. 2, you basically just make turrets everywhere, and then they start to lose control of the game. Now, he held off the push, and we're starting to see, kind of like game 1, even if you kill their Nexus, like I think most other players would just leave the game there. And he's like, no, I have my 4 carriers now, and that's all I needed to get up to.
He's picking off every tank. He just picked off like every tank, faceless.
Yeah, he kills every tank, and he's going to go back and just make interceptors. Were they all at 4? No, they were not. Okay, those were actually interceptor shot down.
Yeah. Well, he's going to kill this 3rd on location, so that's a little bit annoying. That was greedy of Light, of course.
Yeah,
that's
actually crazy. He even made that there after carriers are out.
Yeah.
Of all the spots, I would have gotten it if it was like the another hidden base somewhere, but. So he's got Terran pinned here. By the way, I think it's a really smart move to just try to get that turret with what he can.
Sure. Well, look at this.
Here he goes.
Yeah, he dives in even deeper now, kills more tanks.
Okay, so this is. Go ahead, please.
Well, I mean,
I think actually Stork might.
He's got this.
I think.
Right?
Well,
he's got it,
Let's see. Let's see. I mean, he just has to break this spot, and we know that there's more Dragoons coming here. What is it? Is it 3 gates he gets with this? Or is it just 2?
I think he has 3 gates right now, I believe.
Now, Dragoons combined with carriers are like just enough. And let me tell you something, guys. If you're Terran, you better be watching out for carriers on the ladder this week. This is
not. I mean, I was excited to get on and stream tomorrow, but right now I'm like, oh my god! Like,
look at this.
Light is literally killing his natural every game and then dying.
Yeah.
Okay, he's trying to go into bio. That's how desperate he is right now. That's a very late bio switch. He actually good thing he gets that observer. So
that's due to the excess of minerals he has, and you know, Goliath can only do so much. He needs a certain amount of gas. One thing you can do with the carrier tech, by the way, I wonder how many probes, dude. He's not even making probes.
No, why would he make probes?
I need to go back and like really look at this game because
you're like, okay, so
I'm like, I don't even have
7 minutes. I lose my Nexus.
Yes, exactly, and then I come back and win.
But I've already got the strong.
This is happening to Light. I mean, what's so crazy about it is like, I don't think we're alone in our analysis here in the early part of the game where it's like, okay, he gets the Nexus. There you go.
Yeah.
That's when everybody taps out. And Stork's like, aha!
That's where I got
That's
him.
where the twist is. That's the part where, like, in the Sixth Sense, where he finds out he was dead all along. It's like, wait a minute, what? Look, he's not even mining. He's not making probes, guys. He's mining out of one gas, so he has just enough gas to make carriers. He mostly needs minerals for, yes, the carriers, but also the Dragoons and the Zealots, too.
But
now,
I think he does realize that there are Marines on the way. And once you get a group of Marines to sit with this, they buffer so heavily and help against interceptors so much. Like, now, I think that Light is going to actually run him over.
I think you're probably right. One thing about this is that Terran is still making SCVs with this, I believe, for most of this game. Has been macroing and trying to match this. Protoss has halted everything and is trying to use the momentum that he got by killing the initial tanks to just kind of bring this game into a direct... Okay, hold on.
So, he's just counterattacked with these carriers. This means that he will just lose his natural. 100%.
Yeah. That's what he wants to do.
This is part of Stork's plan.
Protoss don't need naturals or Artosis. What are you doing?
Dude, yeah, we're going to be... This is game 3. We're going to be at 3 naturals lost in a moment here.
Well... The Marines are now, again, you can see Marines are not particularly strong against carriers.
Oh god,
but
he ran away around with the goons.
Okay.
This is a wild series.
He needs to get that armory.
Yeah, that would be an amazing pickoff.
You know, what? Today is a complete revolution of the way we look at PvT and carriers, Artosis. I mean, this is pretty wild. Now, Protoss pulls the probes. So,
well, you know,
does he have a shuttle? Because I want to point out, if he could get onto one of these high ground spots, like the one in between the, oh, hold on. This is actually pretty bad.
So all the goons are going to die now. This is as sloppy as you could get from Stork.
Yeah, he should have actually backed up. Oh, he's going to try to hold it here.
Okay, so wait. Light's going to win now?
I'm actually not. No, I think actually there's enough carriers, and even though the Marines can shoot down the interceptors, look, he can get all the tanks. No, he's okay. He gets all the tanks. He's got Dragoons. He needs to target, I think, the Goliaths and target the Marines correctly. I think. Okay, tanks are coming across. Look at this. He's got an observer right click there.
Catch those. Well, he can't.
I love how he has the medic lead there to tank shots. Now,
getting through there is so tough.
By the way, I think a probe drill is in order here.
Probe drill, you don't need it. Got me interceptors, yes. 0-0 Marines. What are they doing?
I can't. So is Protoss mined out now? Or I think he's nearly mined out at least, right? By the way, you know, because Terran was making SCVs the whole time, Terran is got nothing in the main. I think the main CC has to relocate, right? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he's not going to have a scan for a little bit.
Well, you can't even lift it up because then you have 0 income.
One thing I want to point out here, too, I don't know if we're going to get there. In fact, I think we probably won't, but when things get this sparse, DTs can be pretty good.
Yeah, I think the economies are so broken, though, they have to just play with exactly the stuff they already decided to make.
I think Protoss shouldn't attack here. I don't think he attacks on the ground. I think he gets ready to possibly do it. Stork is going to try to come around.
He just needs to pick up anything. The goons, though, need to stay far away from all this.
Yeah. He does not have
the goons are actually very important, but not right this moment.
Now look at this. He's just targeting down each tank. He's just barely lost all his interceptors. He needs to go back, and he needs to do damage inside the main now. This is such a crazy series. And, you know, the problem now is that for Terran to fight this in the main, it's hard to get his army back in here.
What are you even killing right now? I think should realize that, like, whatever he does in the main doesn't matter. Like,
look,
all that matters right now is the stand. Oh my God.
Okay, now he can go for target the CC, or he can target the SCVs when they repair. Now, Light barely has enough to make a CC, I think, before this dies.
Or just not.
Just not.
Okay, well.
So hold on. This means that all he has to do is kill off the remaining structures or hold off the attack, depending. But he can kill off all the SCVs over here now, right?
Yeah. By the way, there is a tiny chance right now of a draw.
No.
Since that probe is out,
yeah.
Most of it goes away, but like...
Stork can take the 3 o'clock position here, I think, and hold off a push with the high ground. There's no scans available, right? Okay, instead he goes for the main, which I will tell you.
Fine.
Okay. I mean,
yeah.
Let's
well,
see.
that's where he is right now.
I guess he needs the rest of his minerals to also make interceptors, because you're going to lose interceptors on each fight too.
Yeah.
Sorry guys, this is a hard one to analyze.
No, this is a very weird game. Very weird game.
Now, assuming that all the carriers stay alive, what he's doing right there is he's just trying to make sure his interceptors are all out in the fight.
He attacked his own carriers. That's how important that is. Okay, here we go. I mean, if he just clears this straight up, that'll be it.
Okay, every Marine that goes down, I mean, this is all permanent, essentially. Now we're seeing the minerals go down here from Stork as he has to remake.
Okay. Oh, he went below Nexus money. He went below Nexus money.
Very
if
important.
all the interceptors die.
Now he's going to go back. The rest of his minerals go back in interceptors. And I think that Protoss wins.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think Protoss does win. But if all the interceptors go away, there are locations where you can float that Dragoons can't hit buildings, and we could theoretically have a draw. I do want to throw that out there. This is the closest we've had to a draw in many, many years.
But I think due to the fact that, and by the way, those Marines are probably not going to be able to do that much here.
No, not likely. But
so
he should make them, though, obviously.
By the way, also, Protoss, any remaining buildings that are killed off, you know, that he loses. If he loses those 2 pylons, assuming the main is cleaned up, is that a pylon in the top right?
Yeah, I think it is. I think he has a good spread of pylons. I think you got to be careful with your SCVs, by the way, as well. You do need those. He needs to group his entire army together, Light does. And the thing is, he can float his buildings with him and kind of go hunting a little bit, but I think that Stork just has too much. Yeah, look at this, 8 interceptors there. I'd love to see just how many interceptors he has on everything. Look at this, he's coming in, he sees that this is spread. You need to micro this perfectly and have it perfectly clumped as Light to have any chance here. And he's not doing that. See, like that Goliath will be picked off before anything fires.
Yeah.
See?
And look, once he gets the Goliath...
that's it. Wow.
I am just blown away by Stork's technique in this.
Well, it's so strange, this game. Or just how Stork's playing in general. It's like madness. Is he the smartest man in the world or the stupidest man in the world? It's like, I don't know. But it's working, so I guess the smartest?
And you can see the smile on Stork's face. It's close.
He's gone carriers 3 games in a row, Tasis.
But it's working each time. Now, game 2 seemed to be a fluke because I think, I do believe that Light got confused in that game and just kind of attacked out in game 2. But game 3 was interesting because we saw in game 1, wow, even when they lose the Nexus, it seems like by then 4 carriers are out. You do end up cleaning off the tanks to push out, right? And then in game 3, I mean, guys, we just never see games like this where the second's taken out. It's like, okay, par for the course.
He had nothing, and then like he came back and flanked the army and killed it, and then like picked off tanks over and over and got in there and fought with goons. Game 3 looked like how I feel a lot of the time, you know, which you don't expect in Light vs. Stork.
Dude, it's fascinating to me because like he realizes even after the Nexus is gone, he's taken out enough tanks, the carriers as well. I mean, there's enough of them, you can target what you want, and then Dragoon versus Goliath is a fine matchup to take. And let's also keep in mind a pretty dramatic shift by Light to try to go Medic Marine with the Goliath to take it on, and it still didn't work. Guys, we'll be right back. Sorry, the crazy map's coming up next in Coven.
I don't know where to go, where do you hide? I'm looking high and low, but I don't
울트라 기어로 부드럽게 이긴다. LG 울트라 기어 게이밍 모니터.
취했나?
청정제주 숙취비법과 탄산의 만남. 숙취엔 가스강.
라벨은 까서버리라고 했는데 우리 아빠는 맨날 까먹어요.
라벨을 떼지 않아도 오키. 라벨을 없앤 아이시스 8.0 에코. 따는 순간 분리배출까지. 지구에게 오키, 모두에게 에코. 라벨이 없는 아이시스 8.0 에코.
숙취 이제 탄산으로. 청정제주 숙취비법과 탄산의 만남. 숙취엔 가스강.
울트라 기어로 선명하게 이긴다. LG 울트라 기어 게이밍 모니터.
ASL 시즌 9 Refression.
Guys, you know, StarCraft has been around for 21 years.
22 years.
22 years, excuse me.
And 4 days.
Yeah, and 6
5
hours.
days, sorry.
And, yeah. And, you know, our understanding, everyone's understanding of the game has changed so much. And maybe we need to change the way we look at carriers. Maybe the way Artosis and I were talking about the carriers, it's like we're talking about how we've angered the volcano god, and these scientists have just arrived on our island. You know?
Scientist stork.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, they don't know that the Earth is round. They don't know anything.
But I do know about the volcano contagion.
I do know that if I eat enough dirt, there will not be storms and my crops will stay alive. That I know.
Well, you might be right.
Yeah.
Although I have a feeling that right now Flash is streaming, watching this, talking about how bad light is.
Well, here we are as StarCraft casters. I'm going to cut some chickens up and throw their blood onto the sand and figure out who's going to win on Inner Coven here.
Well, this is the map that you would think is really a carrier map. So does he go carrier here? I mean, if he's going to do it on Sylphid.
Don't even ask me. we're digging our hole deeper every time with this carrier stuff. It's crazy. This is our weird map, man. We have a lot of builds that you can only, we've seen a lot of builds you can only do once and try to surprise your opponent. You know, Light visibly concerned. Stork knows he's one away from taking the whole thing.
시즌 9 게임 준비 완료. 이너 코븐에서 게임을 시작합니다.
Okay, center left, Stork, bottom right, Light. I do feel like it's mandatory every time we cast on this map. We have to just explain it very briefly. It is a semi-island map. There's destructible buildings that allow you to connect yourself to the hub in the center. There's also eggs that can be destroyed that allow you to go around the circular edge of the map. There are permanent disruption webs along the edges of the map as well, and
which actually prevent the eggs from being destroyed by any ground units early on.
Yeah, from the aggressor's side usually. So, all said and done, it's a weird island map. Trafficking armies in different spots, you're following a very different set of rules, and maps like this do allow us to have very different games. Now, what makes this maybe the most interesting game we will have in a series on this map is the fact that Stork has gone carriers every game. Carriers in general are viewed as an alternative late-game tech that require a lot of finesse, require a lot of positional play, and usually require you to get a certain degree of momentum before they can really be activated. And Stork's shown us, I think for the first time really ever in repetition, which is actually great for educational purposes, he's shown us that we can actually, Protoss can basically sack a natural, bait a Terran into pushing him, kill it, and then win with a counterattack. And I'm not saying that's the way it's always supposed to go, but it's literally, it's possible to pull that caper off. And I don't know if we're going to have carriers on this map, but let's wait and see. What we've seen in the past from Stork is that because a lot of players were openly talking about this being a map that if you got too many carriers in a momentum play, you need to push and kill them early. Stork played around that by simply attacking them, picking a fight in the middle and attacking with his army. So I don't know what to expect. Again, I'm kind of done saying we're not going to have carriers, but you know.
Yeah, well, after saying it on Sylphid, which I was very confident in,
yeah,
I'm not going to say anything about anything because I just don't know what Stork is up to here. Like, he's a very good carrier player, so it won't surprise me if he wants to continue on that route. Of course, we haven't really seen carriers on this map at all this year.
So we have a gas steal. Yeah, it's funny. We thought we were going to have a lot of carrier play, but instead Terrans are trying to end it quickly.
If he wanted his natural to die, he should have made it closer to to Light here. I guess that's not the case, though. Yeah, I guess we just kind of wait and see. Okay, he's actually
canceling the gas.
Yeah.
Oh no, this SCV is going to...
Oh, it's because when he started the gas, Stork canceled the gas on his main.
Oh, I see.
So that's a pretty common ploy there. Very annoying probe. Probe keeping pretty high health.
Probe can do a lot of damage early on. It's just very hard for the Terran to deal with. The probe has a longer ranged attack.
Yeah, it moves better too.
Even though it doesn't have a lot of hit points, the range attack is really helpful against SCVs or Zerglings. Any melee attacking unit.
Well, now we just have to wait a little bit while they get their economies running, see what exactly do they want to do strategically here. It's so hard to say. Like, you know, when the map first came out, it definitely was a lot of Protosses going carriers on it. And what I saw from Light at that point was poor factory timing pushes after a quick command center. You know, just trying to get in there and get the Protoss dead before they go for the carriers. But then, of course, we saw as ASL started up that no one was actually going for carriers anymore. More ground-based armies, more shuttle-based armies, that type of thing.
Well, I think anytime you have a new map, the pros look at it, and then they theorize the best way to play the map. Several games are played out on that, and then people start trying to hard counter those issues. You know, okay, so, you know, the air army's pretty good. Let's try to end the game before that starts.
Okay, so probe coming back through. We'll catch that with the Marines. That's very, very important to make sure that the probe does not get any more free scouting on you.
We have no attention here in the center, but eventually we will have units trying to open up the center of the map. And this is double starport. Now, part of me has to wonder if this is a response to the fact that we've had carriers every game. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's...
You know, unfortunately for him, it's going to maybe get scouted.
Nope. He's okay.
Okay, but he sees a factory with no add-on, right? So I mean, it's not the weirdest thing, but...
If Protoss just goes for ground, he is going to smash this.
Is he?
Yeah.
How?
With his ground army against the crappy...
Well, the Wraiths aren't going to fight the ground army.
Well, they're here to get the shuttle, but 2-port Wraith Artosis?
Yeah, no, 2-port Wraith, right? So think about what the detection is here. You don't expect to see any cannons this early on, right? So if you have 2-port Cloaked Wraith, and you have a couple scanners, what are they going to have? 1 observer? 2 observers? I mean, you can start picking off probes. Light has superb Wraith Micro.
Okay, that's a good point, Artosis.
Well, I guess he's not going Cloak right away, but you're going to shut down the first drop. Like, they're not going to expect it. They're not going to think that you have that many Wraiths, but you're going to have, like, 4 Wraiths when they get there.
But even if you have 1 Wraith, you could shut down the drop, right? I mean, if he's ready with observers and he controls it right, I feel like this could go either way for Terran then. Let me put it like this. Because if Terran, if the play goes as Terran plans, he's going to smash it, but here are those 2 Wraiths out now.
I feel like this is, if I was playing as Light, I feel like this is what I would want to be running into, right? So that's why I really feel like this is good for Light. He's prepared this. It shouldn't fall over the first time Stork sees it, doing a build that it probably is made to counter.
But I do think that a Protoss can innovate their way out of this after they've handled the initial surprise.
Yeah,
I mean, it's going to be the first few moments.
You're not going to kill him quickly with this build.
We have a Stargate coming down now again. At this point, if we've learned anything, I'm supposed to say that's for carriers, but I think we might end up seeing Corsairs when he spots the 2 starports.
That's possible. So, how funny would this be?
Yeah, we might end up with Corsairs in a PBT. So immediately Stork says, whoa!
Yeah.
This is not the game I was expecting. And we're going to see a Corsair, I would imagine, made immediately. Yep, there it is.
And a Forge. And that's actually, I feel like the Forge is the really important building here. You needed a cannon in each mineral line against something like this.
Yeah, you need detection. Now, if you have a cannon in each mineral line, I don't know how many Wraiths it takes to fight a cannon. Maybe you do, Artosis.
I don't go Wraith against Protoss very often, to be honest. It's normally
maybe you
kill
should.
carriers
That's the difference
when I'm really
between
behind.
you and Light, Artosis.
Well,
the lack of Wraiths in your play.
We would both lose to Stork's carriers even if we kill his natural. That's
true.
something we have in common.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Now, again, Wraiths are not good at straight-up fights. They're strong if you can't see them. And now they are cloaked.
Yeah,
now
see,
one cannon
this is kind of intelligent. Think about this, right? Like, he's going to get a good amount of probes. He's stopped any drop play from occurring. He's stopped fast carriers. Like, you're not going to go fast carriers with this. Like you said, you're going to at least make some Corsairs and whatnot.
He's got to be careful,
it did
man.
some things. Right?
I don't know, man.
It did some things. You can't deny that. This game, it's not like nothing's happened in this game, Tasteless.
Some things did happen.
Yeah.
I will grant that.
Yeah.
Now,
Judge Tasteless over here.
Now, hold on a second. Oh, look. There we go.
Yeah,
the way God intended it. There's the carriers coming out here.
Yeah, I think you have to. Like, you already have the Corsairs.
Yeah. Now,
please uncloak those. Let's not waste.
Yeah, this
all
always
the energy.
bothers me when you just see them fly around with cloak on. It's
It
like half are
happens too
cloaked and
much.
half are not. It's like, well,
There was more of an excuse back in the day, but now they're on separate hotkeys for cloak and decloak, so come on. Well, actually, now that I think about it, you still have to control click onto the cloaked ones to decloak them.
control kick can be hard sometimes. It's funny.
I guess.
Things are going pretty quickly. He says he's not going to do it.
No, he wants that energy gone just in case feedbacks come out.
Okay. He's going to start pushing through here. Now remember, for all the hype about the Wraiths, the reality is that those could have been tanks. The starports could have been factories. And so we're seeing a pretty brittle ground army here for Terran, despite having 3 bases. Now, Light is in the process of getting that, but Stork never really stopped making ground army units here. We see Dragoons and Reavers, and now we have Corsairs out here to completely mute any Corsairs that come into play here.
How much do you want to bet he gets D-Web?
Oh, yeah, dude. He's going to get D-Web for sure.
100% you want D-Web
Artosis, of course.
Oh, sorry, okay.
How dare you? I mean, are you kidding me? This is like the moment when D-Web is finally, Artosis is one of our last games on this map, the D-Web Dance Hall map. It's going to be ended with even more disruption web.
Yeah. Well, it's going to go great here because he is very light on tanks. So, I mean, if you mute all the tanks and just attack him, that could be cool. This is such a weird situation, though. I've never seen anything like this.
We're finally going to have
Oh, look at this. He's just bringing everything back home. It's like, all right, never mind. Well, at least with the two... Actually, this is an aspect of this build I really like, right? The Wraiths shut down a lot. It forced a lot of what Stork was doing. Like, it forced him to counter what Light was doing. So Light kind of took control in that way. But then he can also get out a lot of dropships very quickly, right? Not only can he get out a lot of dropships very quickly, he takes 3 bases. Normally what we would have seen at this point is a lot of shuttle play back and forth, where you're like forcing SCVs to run and lift up and all this. Instead, Light has 3 bases that are basically invincible because of his Wraiths, and now he's getting a lot of dropships right away.
Now,
this is cool. I like this a lot, actually. The more I'm thinking about like the intricacies of what he's able to do.
Well,
look at this, Tasteless.
I've got a lot to say about that, but let's check this drop out first here. Not much here to defend. In fact, he can kind of drop his army so the reinforcements can't even really come in here.
Yeah, he's just running. He knows that he can't do anything. That Vultures and Goliaths dropped. Easy.
Okay. Does he have any carriers out yet, or is it just... Okay, he does. He has 2 carriers out.
But you're... Oh, yeah. Well, he's losing his natural, but not quite as quickly. Do you think that's good or bad for Stork? Should he have lost that natural earlier?
If he had lost it earlier, I mean, that was the whole natural loss timing that you're trying to have.
Yeah, he missed that.
Yeah.
So his economy was actually stronger this game overall?
Yeah.
Is that bad for Stork, is my question.
Well, the problem is now he can keep making probes the whole time while teching and carriers. And that's probably not what he wants because...
Yeah.
Now, I want to point out, by the way, interestingly, as the carrier tech is happening, Light is just taking every part of the map. Carriers, again, can't attack in those far-off spots.
Well, on this map, I wonder if that's still true, right? You can kind of fly across that center. I think that Light, though, needs to open up the center very quickly. Or is he just going to fly around with mass dropship? Like, eventually the carriers will hit a number where this won't do anything anymore. Oh, I don't know about this, but okay.
Okay, he's going to go for it right over here.
Wow, those popped out so well. What the hell was that? His dropship's down here at the bottom left, and like, yeah, he didn't get D-Web, did he?
Well, that
would have been amazing there. 1 D-Web would have shut this down.
Yeah.
1 D-Web would have.
Is this Reaver going to fire?
I still want to know how those Goliaths unloaded to the top right over there. Oh my god, now he's walked through here and it's attacking. I feel like this series is the worst commentary we'll ever do in our whole lives.
Yeah,
because I know less about what's going on here than I know about a ZVC.
Now
this is crazy, man.
Games we could
These
cast
games
that we've
look
never played
so
before.
weird.
Yeah, this is well, this has been a really different cast for us, man, because these games have just been so out there. But Light's basically going to close this out, it looks like.
Hold the phone, Tasteless. He's still got a base.
He still has 4 carriers.
He has 4 carriers. What do you want? Light only has 5 bases. Okay? I think Light's dead. He's dead, dude.
I think he's dead.
He's dead. Look at him. He's got nothing. Oh. See?
I can't believe how weird these games have been today. Now, again, Protoss is starting to move across the map, but the difference is this is not a 2-base Terran. This is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-base Terran.
Is 5 bases enough against these carriers, though?
Nobody knows.
Still game a chance. Oh, wow. Okay, well, on to game 5. Oh, I can't believe you didn't get that one.
Yeah, right.
I can't believe you didn't get that one. And I also can't believe that Stork just sat those there that whole time. What was he doing?
What was our last map? I can't remember now.
Neo Sylphid.
Again?
Oh, I thought you meant last map as in the map we just played.
No, I mean the final map that we have.
Yeah, it's Polypoid.
Polypoid, thank you. Well, I mean, for just, the sake of the storyline, we're going to have carriers use it a 5th time. And this time it's going to be after Arbiter Tech.
It makes no sense.
It's going to be after Arbiter Tech, Artosis.
No.
Stop trying to run the show, Artosis.
My God, this is...
We've had every kind of carrier tech you could imagine.
He's switching into 4-port Wraith now. He's gone he went Wraith, 2-port Wraith, into Mass Goliath drops, into 4-port Wraith.
That's the closer, man. That's like getting EMP for your science vessels. You get the 2 more starports, you get enough Wraiths. After you've killed their Corsairs, of course.
Absolutely.
Pay attention,
Oh, gosh. You really got it. This is like how you play it anyways, right? Like, that's when you do the Muta switch.
Right,
It's a Wraith switch after you kill the Corsairs.
Yeah.
Makes sense. I get it now. Thank you.
Usually it works out even better because they upgraded D-Web, but Stork doesn't know what's going on in this game, so it's like... This has been such a crazy... Honestly, one of the funner casts I think we've had together because it's like just full of surprises.
It is certainly full of surprises. Now, he's trying to find a place to drop off all these Goliaths, but it doesn't look like that's a good one. Stork is turtled pretty well on 2 of his 2 expansions.
Now, I do want to point out, if we end up with a really, really long game where there's enough carriers, there is a chance for Protoss to come back. I mean...
Oh, absolutely. Carriers, like, Protoss Air beats Terran Air.
Yeah, for sure.
Just simply as that. And a lot of people that don't know some of the weirder things about Brood War will be like, well, what about BCs against carriers? BCs actually beat carriers, but all you need is 1 Arbiter, and then it's over.
Yeah,
you stasis half the BCs, and there's nothing. That's it.
Yeah,
game's over.
There's a lot of these logical... if we bring it to these 2 unit comps in a game with pros, if we bring it to their logical conclusion, that's how it ends. And that's why you never see players try that. It has been tried and tested. And
I found that out the very hard way, like 15 years ago or so.
Right. You're like, I think I'm changing the meta.
Yeah. And then half of them get stasis, and I just lose one side.
As they're trying to Yamato, their energy's already gone, and you're like,
yeah.
Now, what are we at? 6 carriers now?
Science vessels are houses. Shut up, guy in the chat. Literally don't know anything, man.
Now,
he's got more Corsairs out here now.
Even though the carriers can't get that up there very easily, I think the ground army certainly can for Protoss. By the way, we should probably have mass observers being made in this game.
Yeah, speed and vision.
Yeah.
Okay, he's going to do something crazy with these Wraiths and dropships, Tasteless.
I think he's going to try to take this bottom left base.
Oh my God.
He'll get it, man.
Yeah. Yeah, he's got it. That's enough to kill those cannons. Now the carriers, are they going to try to come up here? Looks like Stork is going to kill top right, but Light would love to trade 1 base for 1 base. If he does that 3 times, the game's over for him.
Man. Is that 6 now? I think it is.
What?
6 carriers? Is that 6 up there? Yeah, I think that's 6. Maybe even more, actually.
6. I think it's 6.
Where's the D-Web?
Oh, my God.
I'm not joking, man. I think if we had Disruption Web, we might have had some fights that would have been a little bit prettier on the Protoss side.
D-Web is worth it if you're going to actually have Corsairs.
Now, Protoss is counterattacking here. And, I mean, again, if we have any ground army that helps fight this, I mean, Terran can't take this fight, I don't think.
Well, you have to be really overwhelming at that point. I think he needs to walk further into the main base with these Goliaths.
Oh, here we go. He's got so many observers here. Oh!
Corsairs are so good against raids.
Yeah.
Mutas may as well be ground units compared to Corsairs when you look at the Wraith versus the Corsair. You know what I mean?
Okay, I actually think that I feel like, how do I say this? This is such an obscure game that Light has not played a lot of late games that went this far.
Look at this. He's going back under the D-web.
Yeah.
That's a... Oh, man.
Okay, so Light's at 170.
He's got a lot of money.
But supplies are not as much of a factor. All these Dragoons, my eyes. Okay, there's so much to say here. Supplies are not as important as they would be in a normal PvT because all the fights are being handled on these very weird terms. Light has since then basically... Oh my god, this unload.
What? I have never even seen anything that looks like this.
You know, Terran is actually going to have no income in a little bit here. Now, the Wraiths can fight this, but these are actually +2 attack Corsairs. And I believe that actually, like, if you threw a Wraith into the sun, it wouldn't melt as quickly as Corsair shots.
Yeah, it's very true. It's very true.
Corsairs already beat Wraiths, but like I don't know if like they might actually die before the Corsairs fire. I'm not sure.
Well, every time you try to make a Wraith, it just takes 300 minerals and 300 gas out of your bank and gives it to the Protoss. That's basically what happens.
The one way that Light might lose this game is if he clicks on one of the Corsairs and holds his mouse over +2 air attack, and his computer might just turn off and uninstall the game. Like now again, it's a ragtag Terran army here. It seems like Protoss has lost
It's
basically
175 supply against 75.
Yeah. No, ragtag Protoss army is what I meant to say.
Oh,
maybe
okay.
Maybe
like,
I
what
messed
are
up.
we talking about?
So sorry.
Here?
No, other way around.
He has everything he wants. No, Stork has like nothing, man.
Yeah,
he has a cannoned up island. Is he gonna be one of those computers that doesn't GG? You have to kill all its buildings.
Well, I mean, on that note, dude, like, oh my God, there's so much supply inside of these dropships. Dropships.
It's all right.
Pick one and kill it. Yeah.
Well, he's gonna kill another base.
He's gonna kill that dropship first. Thank you.
There's still a tiny chance for Storm.
No, yeah, there is. Okay, now hold on.
It involves not losing these to those.
Where are the Corsairs? Where are the Corsairs?
But now there is no chance for Stork anymore.
There they are, albeit too late. And then they attack the one Wraith in the corner. Now, if those Corsairs had shot down those Wraiths
immediately,
when
that's a lot of 3-2 mech right there, man. The carriers are like the superior unit for
Watchie's SCVs just repair the turret and hold the carrier off.
Yeah, they could. They could actually all start turrets too. that would also work. Okay, well,
it would be just hilarious if Light were to somehow just keep loading stuff into drop ships and lose them to Corsairs and eventually lose the game.
That would be hilarious.
One of those tilting moments where it's okay. There he goes. He knows he's dead. GG.
Okay.
Justice finally served.
What a strange series we have here today. This is some different Brood War.
It's time for Game 5 again. I think one of the best round of 8s we've ever had in all of StarCraft history. I mean, for major tournaments, this is
three fifth set so far out of 3.
Yes.
Wow, I can't speak at all.
3-5 set tasteless. Artosis said as he banged pots and pans together. Yes, Artosis.
3-5 set tasteless.
3-5 games. 3-5 games. 3-5 games. Now, we don't know who's going to take it still. I think we know there's going to be carriers again. Maybe not.
That would be the ultimate mind game.
That would be the ultimate mind game.
The scouts in the next game.
Guys, after this short break, we will go to game number 5, the final game. Only one of these two players moves on, Light or Stork. Let's find out who that is. The final map on Polypoid. Do not go away.
When I love you too sounded so heartless. When you're
울트라 기어로 부드럽게 이긴다. LG 울트라 기어 게이밍 모니터.
라벨 떼고 버려야 되는 건 알죠? 근데 귀찮아서 잘 안 해요.
라벨을 떼지 않아도 오키. 라벨을 없앤 아이시스 8.0 에코. 따는 순간 분리배출까지. 지구에게 오키, 모두에게 에코. 라벨이 없는 아이시스 8.0 에코.
당신 뭐 핫식스 더킹 아세요?
핫식스 뭐요?
핫식스 더킹.
이거 정말로 맛있는데
제가 오늘 핫식스 더킹 먹을게면 당신은 저한테 빨릴 거예요. 아세요?
이런 악마의 음료 꿀빠 시간.
그리고 핫식스 더킹 그 빨간 제품 있거든요. 열대 과일 맛이 나요. 열대 과일 맛.
자신 있으세요?
울트라 기어로 선명하게 이긴다. LG 울트라 기어 게이밍 모니터.
ASL 시즌 9 리프레시.
We're back for the final match of ASL. You know, we knew today was going to be good. We knew today was going to be close. We did not know it would be a story of the most, how do I say this? The unconventional unit tech, right? I mean, with carriers, that's kind of the alternative to going arbiters, right?
Yeah.
It's fine to mix it in. It's a good unit composition on some maps, on some spots. We thought. Here we have Stork. He's doing every carrier build, every game. I know we saw it on Coven as well, but that's sort of the natural progression of the matchup there. We have one more map here. It's 2-2. And Stork is showing just how close of a game you can get with carriers. You just get enough out, and they've invested enough in trying to stop you, and from there...
Well, here's the brilliant thing about Stork. We are fighting all the battlegrounds on his turf.
Yeah, no kidding.
That's a fact.
Here's our final game. Let's see who wins this best of 5 and goes on to the final 4 of the ASL.
폴리포이드에서 게임을 시작합니다.
Where they at, Tasteless? Take me away.
Stork bottom right, light upper right. both sharing a side of the map. Here in our own caster meta, I have to figure out if we're supposed to talk about how good or bad carriers are in these moments.
No,
I think we avoid it
need
entirely.
to keep our stupid fat mouths shut.
Keep our caster faces closed.
70 people right now, super happy to hear that.
Yeah, good. Got it, finally. They understand, they don't understand.
Yeah, these games have been so crazy, man. Like, I gotta hand it to Stork though. The guy came with a plan, okay? Now, I think that Light outplanned him on Inner Coven, but I think in every other game, Stork, like, overall, he had a better plan for today. Like, whether he wins or loses, he has brought this way of playing that you see sometimes. This is a very small percentage of PVTs right now. Like, there are people that really like carriers, but just in general, people would rather flood gateway units or go into arbiters very quickly. It kind of gives you more play. It allows, you know, it doesn't come down to these like one timing attack. But the thing is, Stork has forced all these games into a situation that he knows very, very well. Like, I think that most Protosses would have, most, if not every Protoss on Earth, I think would have lost most of these games as Stork.
Yeah.
Because, like, they lose their natural and be like, well, there's not much to do from here, whereas Stork is like, no, this is where you counterattack.
To be honest, it would never occur to me, let's say I was doing the same build as Stork, the moment that I lost my natural, I would leave the game angrily.
Yeah.
It would never occur to me like, aha, here we go, counterattack with 4 carriers.
Yeah,
it's so cool.
And this is the beautiful thing, right? He's prepared for all these situations because he knew he was going to go carriers each game. Aaron doesn't have as much of a variety in what they can do in that regard, right? So they have to play a little bit more reactively. Like, sure, they could try a 2-base timing or even a 1-base all-in or something, but you can't build a series around that, you know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we thought, but...
Well, I'm telling you that you can't build a series around that. Because Protoss will do something like Open Reaver and then you're dead. But
here's something else I want to put out while we have time before a Stargate finally comes down and we go, okay, of course.
It's going to be here soon.
What is a surprise twist tech we could have for a... Because, you know, Terrans aren't normally trying to prepare for carriers unless the map is very obscure. I shouldn't say obscure, unless the map is set up in such a way where it's like you'd be foolish to knock out carriers. Is there any kind of tech counter that Protoss would come out here with, like a proxy DT rush or... I don't know, proxy Reaver or...
Lights openers are really good, and I think that the more he's playing Stork, the more he should be erring towards a fast academy. And here, for the final game, he's gone with Gasless, which would be a totally... This would be a rad place for Stork to go carriers for life.
It'd be totally tubular, you're right. It would be...
Yeah, well, with this build, like, you're going to actually get higher supply quicker than the other builds that he's been using. And your academy is going to be right on time to scout everything as well. Like, as long as that's the build you want to do with it, the academy comes out at like 410 to 420, which is as quick as you get it with any build.
Now, what if he did something like we saw in Match Point, which was a pretty safe carrier tech? I mean, we've had two games where Stork just went kind of, you know, very hard to pull off, very risky carrier rushes that, like, if they work, they're very hard to stop. And I think we've seen Stork play the best carrier, some of the best carrier games we've ever seen in StarCraft history. Just the way he controlled it and the way he attacked the ground and the way he made it work. You know, with like a low number. I want to actually add something into our, as far as information goes, our cast here, because I think we were really learning something here. Sometimes just having the right number of carriers is even more significant than the distance between the two players or the shape of the map. It seems like with sometimes with 4, depending on the way the game's gone, you have enough that you can do the damage and they can slowly push you away, but you're going to get to pick what you get to kill first. And that's pretty scary, especially at StarCraft at this level.
Yeah, that's a reasonable way to put it, for sure.
Now we have the ranged goons hitting this depot here. Which is, this is all par for the course in any PvT. We're expecting this. Is it going to be? No, okay, it's just regular.
Yeah, well, I think that this is just very standard from both sides. Instead of the faster academy, Light has opted for the second factory, which means he should be going into one tank with siege mode and then a bunch of ultras. And that's kind of like scans in a way. You know, you just kind of run around the map and you kind of see what they have and they don't have.
Sure.
Maybe you get damage, maybe you don't.
At higher
and
levels,
it's a very safe opener.
At higher levels, seeing what they don't have usually tells you what they do have.
Yes, absolutely. Well, you narrow it down very quickly at that point. But yeah, Stork has just kind of opted for getting a decent amount of Dragoons out early. Slowed his Nexus slightly.
Let's see.
He actually hasn't started Siege mode yet.
Now again, you know, there's a lot of...
or maybe Siege mode finished. Sometimes what you do with this build, when you play this, is... Okay, yeah, you didn't get it. But sometimes you go Siege mode before Siege tank, because it takes a lot longer.
He's going for the dive here. Good control by Light, he pulls away. Actually, both sides doing an excellent job here, not eating that much damage. I mean, Protoss really only losing shields here. Again, until Siege mode's done, I mean, you can keep doing this as Protoss.
Well, I don't know that he's getting Siege mode right now. Like, I hope he is for his sake, but this could be a situation as well where he's trying to skip it to get more tanks out to do a heavier push after this is held. But if you lose the tank, you're in trouble.
And it's going to be Reaver tech.
Very standard stuff.
Now we don't... Stargate's still not out of the question yet. This is more modern, in line with modern. I'd say the last 2.5 years of PBT is try to get a Reaver out, especially if you do gate expands. Getting a Reaver out is pretty strong. It keeps you on top and in control of the Terran. There's also a more withdrawn way to play, which is you just get observers out and just expand that way. And neither one is like right or wrong. I guess I should say they're both right. Just different approaches, different modes.
I think the Reaver is just really good, especially if you want to go into carriers, because it stops them from going bio.
You're beating me, and yeah, exactly what I was going to say is that the Reaver covers all the crap that can stop the Terran from doing that. Now we don't know if it's going to be Stargate yet, but at this point in time, I'm really guessing it is.
2-base bio actually beats 2-base goon carrier, so it's like kind of fills that in very nicely and like gives you counter harassment options, can slow down pushes. It's just Reaver tech is so good.
And I imagine there's probably some people that are saying that nobody ever does bio. Actually, there are some surprise bio attacks.
Yeah,
to just kill them.
No, they you know, if you hit it against the right thing, it's very strong.
Seems like Stork didn't quite have a good read on where the army was here.
Yeah, I think you're very right about
that.
Because
he suddenly turned around, and I think he can still handle this fine.
Well, that's 5 tanks. It's pretty strong. Yeah, but here comes that little flank. Amazing.
Oh! Did that connect? Yeah, it did. Oh!
Oh my God.
I can't believe that didn't connect.
It does, so that's very, very important. Looks like he still wants to fight. I'm surprised. I think he needs to run. Okay, he does turn around now. Okay, I would call this about even, slight advantage Stork overall, right? Because no damage was done to either economy.
No, you're fine losing Dragoons to hold off the tank push.
And he only lost 2 of his tanks, and then like his Vultures and Marines, which those are replaceable. Those don't really matter all that much.
Do we have a third CC? I don't think we do, actually.
He started.
Stork just being super safe here. Shuttle speed should be done now. And so, there it is. And so he's going to continue to just keep Terran honest. And look here, it looks like we're going to finally have Arbiter tech.
He should just start upgrading air weapons just to freak way
out.
out.
Dude, that's actually pretty smart. He should do that because, one trick, guys, if you want to know if they're going carriers is you scan their cybernetics core.
Yeah.
And if
Smart Protosses, though, will sometimes just start it.
Yeah. Yeah, but
that's the most frustrating way to lose. Come out against a Max Gateway army with a group of Goliaths.
That's right.
It's terrible.
Okay, so he's actually going to go for the shuttle aggression play.
Whoa, 4th command center on location. Light.
Yeah, Light. Well, I'm a little bit worried here for
Light. This is good defense from Light. Like, look at this. Well-placed turrets. He's got that mine. That is a mine that can catch it right there.
Now, I'm so surprised that Light is going to play this risky with the 4th CC
there.
there. But
isn't it weird?
Huh.
I think he doesn't even.
Thing is,
he's taking a risk. That's it.
Artos is if you play against 4CC as Terran and you're going up against a 3-base player who's going for speed shuttle, that's like.
Yeah.
Now Stork doesn't know that's what he's playing against yet, but like this is the easiest thing to break for Protoss if you're good.
Well, you should be able to like if he saw 12 o'clock, obviously it gets canceled instantly.
Right.
Right. That's.
But even if you're not getting a fourth, sometimes you can break this. These are all very brittle positions with speed shuttle because something is not protected somewhere.
Well, it's a gasless expand too, so you actually have a lot more turrets than against a gas expand here as light. So like, I think he's not too afraid of being busted, but yeah, the 12 o'clock, very, very risky. Now look at this, he scouts and yeah, he sees the Arbiter Tribunal. So now Light's like, oh.
He's like, what?
You're gonna play a regular game? That's the cheesiest thing you could have done here. This is, and that's the thing too, from Stork, this is all very normal.
Again, he's so good at planning for a series. He's so good at also just playing around the meta here. Now, Stork's Arbiter game was also top tier. Not as good as, like let's say like Rain or Snow or Bisu, but like just like maybe one tick below that.
Is Bisu's PBT better than Stork's, you think?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so. Now
I haven't
so right
seen
now.
Bisu's PBT very much.
It's really good, dude. Okay. It's actually terrifying.
Yeah, I actually was watching his stream the other day, but he was playing all PVCs, prepping for his next match. So
yeah,
yeah, I'm not sure about his PBT level.
So here comes the bust setup.
He's not going to bust him though. 145 to 118. No.
Artosis?
Watch. Light's fine. Yeah, no, he's perfectly set up.
Artosis is like, my dad can beat up your dad. I'm like, Artosis, let's just see.
He's not going to. Because he doesn't have his tank siege.
Oh my god, and he lost that shuttle.
So easy.
Oh wait, was that the shuttle with the Reaver? What just happened here?
He lost one shuttle.
Oh my god, this is...
Well, that was a good place to drop the Reaver, but you can get a shot off.
Okay, well, this went so poorly.
Yeah, no,
your dad can beat up my dad.
Yeah. My dad doesn't need to beat up your dad because he just defended what your dad did. Now your dad's in jail.
That's right. He's going to be on probation even when he gets out.
Yeah.
That might be why Light is in the top 4 there. That was such a failed attack.
Yeah, no, that was a really bad attack. And like, just because you have 3 speed shuttles doesn't mean you have to go. As soon as I saw what he had sieged and unsieged, that was a very clear hold. Like, he has, the thing is, the turrets make a huge difference. It puts a clock on what Stork has to do in there. And then it's just like, I mean, how are you going to break that? He's got all this stuff on siege, so it's not like you're going to get the mines all hitting the right things or the tanks are going to all kill each other. No, he has like 4 tanks sieged, and then he clears his odds, and he clears goons, and that's it. So this, I mean, it looks pretty decent for Light. Like, he's got 4 pieces mining. His macro is really finding its stride. And the thing is, the game is not over. You know, that was a bad move from Stork, but Stork's still going to max out. You know, he's still got Arbiter tech. Beam moves his army around well. You make something happen.
I'm worried, though, because Light is very good at powerful macro games.
Absolutely he is. And he plays them very differently than... Like, if you watch a lot of Flash, for instance, he'll defend everything perfectly and then kill you while your Arbiter's at 98 mana. Whereas Light, like... He'll move out a little bit later, but his tanks will be spread so that your stasis doesn't just kill him. It's like, it's a very different late game TVP to watch, I think.
Well, I think another thing as well is that Flash never takes engages he can't win. Like, if he loses, he usually was like, there was 7 back and forth, very specific timing attacks, and the player just barely pulled out ahead, like in the Snow series.
What are we watching here? I cannot believe he's trying this.
He's going to try to just do... like basically kick in the front door here. By the way, best D matrix ever on that tank.
What am I even looking at? Why is he attacking here?
Well, I think he feels like he's got enough that he can just barely push through, and it seems like he's just barely pushing through.
No, I think that this was good for Light.
I agree. I mean, he's barely making headway. I mean, imagine had this not that initial attack not happened, the one with the shuttles that he lost.
Yeah, that is a huge thing to say here because it did like very little. You know, right?
Some of these
and if he had that additional stuff in there, he either would have had higher supply or hit earlier with this, and both would have been much better than what we just saw.
You know, on some maps, like, you know, Circuit Breakers, a lot of Terrans just get 4 bases like really quickly.
Yeah.
You can still see Protosses just push through and kill them, but Circuit Breakers is a much more oddly shaped map with the 4th and the 3rd and the 2nd.
It's harder to attack.
This map is like way more open.
Yes, very
like
much
you just
so.
run in there, and I think that idea was there. But again, this kind of goes back to that poorly handled shuttle attack that to me honestly almost seemed like it wasn't as practiced. You know, like
definitely not as
shuttle's
carriers.
Shuttle's definitely, excuse me, not shuttle. Stork has definitely been using carriers a lot more than shuttle bust play. Although shuttle bust play is more popular right now. I think we're definitely going to see now permanently in PvTs more surprise carrier techs here.
Maybe. I think this week for sure. Well, Stork right now, you know, he's had a couple attacks that definitely weren't good for him, but he's still got a fighting chance. He's losing some probes here and there, which is really, really painful.
Yeah, whenever you see the Terran move out with a lot of these vultures, they kill probes, but sometimes they lose all the vultures, which slows down the ground push later on. But I would definitely say this is a game that's heavily leaning towards a Terran victory.
Yeah, he wants to trade out these vultures for probes very badly. Like he'll just get a stronger and stronger base to his army. Like you basically make tanks nonstop and vultures nonstop, and then if you can continue, if you do that regularly, you're going to end up with like 12 tanks and the rest vultures. But if you continually trade out the vultures and keep making tanks, the ratio of tanks and vultures goes up and up, which makes your army stronger and stronger.
So he's going to try to go for counterattacks, Protoss is, because in a game like this, if Terran pushes across and you try to face it head on, you're going to lose. The Terran army gets better and better than the Protoss is in the late game, just as far as the upgrade scaling goes.
Yeah.
Protoss still need to start to match upgrades, or their army is just total garbage. But
yeah, and they kind of like the Arbiters scale well, and Psystorms can as well.
Sure.
But yeah, the Dragoons and Zealots do worse and worse over time.
Oh my God, 1 EMP for 2 Arbiters is so good.
Yeah, and look how many tanks he's got right now. Those were some pretty good Zealot bombs, but he's only got goons in the front. He needs to back up.
Right.
Oh,
now he's losing these Arbiters too. Okay, everything is signaling that Terran is close to closing this out, even though some of these fights have looked back and forth. And Protoss isn't dead yet. I mean, losing the Arbiters, the shuttle attack early on that didn't kill enough tanks.
This is kind of painful too. Like he's got this base, Light's got top left as well. Even though Stork took another mineral only, the economy here for Light is like really much better. And his army's better. And he has more supply.
So in a dramatic...
And he has more workers.
You know, in this game that was all about carriers, and how far can you push the limit, Stork tries to switch into, oh my God, the stasis could be...
That's a pretty darn good one. 5 tanks, but his army is so small at this point.
Stork's doing a good job engaging this, though. He's got a good surround over here. A couple more vultures are coming down. Again, you know, Light has in PvT or TvP some of the best defense matrices ever. He knows where to do it. And GG, in a close series, Light moves on to the Final Four, and you can see that was huge relief for him. I mean, Stork played so well. I think we're all going to be going back to that Neo Sylphid game for a long time.
Oh yeah, well that was a wild one, no doubt. Light very overwhelmed here. A round of 4 in ASL is so important for a lot of reasons, including a seed into the round of 16 next season.
That's right.
And he's also kind of cementing himself as the world's second best Terran, right? He won KSL, and here he is in the round of 4 of ASL. You know, one of only 2 Terrans to make the round of 8. Definitely a well-deserved victory here.
But I'll tell you what,
series.
I'm hungry for more Stork games in the future. I mean, he showed... Look, he just needs to get a better, well-rounded play. He clearly came in here today prepared with carriers. The speed shuttle game, the Arbiter game was a little bit off. You know, he was losing the Arbiters. He didn't really know when or where to attack with the shuttles. For instance, in that position that you called very correctly. He just didn't, you just don't want to attack there. More practice with that, you know better.
ASL 시즌 라인
now onto the interview.
거듭될수록 점점 더 치열한 경기력이 나오고 있습니다. 오늘도 풀세트 혈전 끝에 세 번째 4강 진출자가
We have our third semi-finalist.
만나보겠습니다. 축하드립니다.
Congratulations, Light. Thank you.
지난 시즌에는 정말 아쉽게 4강의 문턱에서 좀 좌절을 하셨었는데요.
Last season, you almost made it to the semifinals.
성공하셨습니다. 경기가 끝난 후에
You've done it today, though.
승을 젖히시고 좀 많은 만감이 교차하는
After you finished all the matches, you seemed so happy, but also relieved. It seemed very emotional.
첫 경기를
What was going through your mind?
오늘 내 시나리오대로 가는구나 했는데
After I won the first map, I thought, okay, everything's going according to plan.
그래가지고
But when I lost those 2 games in a row,
되나 싶었는데
it really freaked me out.
그쪽으로 이기게 돼서 너무
I was
기분이
very
좋아요.
worried I wouldn't be able to pull it together.
컨디션 6점
Very happy I
정도.
managed to win. So our
컨디션은
condition,
괜찮았던
I'm
것
sorry, if you could rate
같은데
yourself, what
일단
would you rate yourself at?
제가 준비를 했던 게 이제
I think my condition
정구형 스타일에
was
맞춰서
fine.
준비한다고 했는데
My preparation though,
연습 때 못 해본
I prepped
상황들이
more
많이 나와서 또 상황을 많이
according
했거든요.
to
그래서
Stork's
캐리어인 거를 계속
normal
예상을
play
하면서
style, but he
치니까
brought something
이걸
totally
어떻게 해야
different today. I
되나.
wasn't anticipating
막 실시간으로
a lot of the stuff that he did
방송하고 있는
today.
친구들 방송 가서 물어보기도 했는데
So I was a little bit out of my element in that regard.
안 써서 좀 마음
I asked some other pro players,
그
what should I prep
4연패까지
for?
나오고 5연패까지 나오지 않았는데 그러니까 1세트 같은 경우에는 송병구 선수의 그런 꼼꼼함을
Yeah, Stork went for carrier builds 3
뚫기
times in a
위한
row.
그리고 정면 이 벌처까지 사용을 했잖아요.
4,
근데 굉장히
but he said 3.
난이도가
Yeah.
어렵다라고 생각을 했었는데 결국에는
He also had dropship and vulture.
어떻게 그런 생각을 했습니까?
사실 첫 경기는 그 많은 선수들이 다 그 스타일로
Somehow you managed to break through in that
연습이 된 건데
game.
이제 그 움직임이 조금 다르더라고요.
So a lot of people helped me specifically prep for Stork. But Stork's movement, I believe, especially with his carriers, was very difficult to prep for.
제가 봤을 때 그러니까 테란으로서
Let's talk about game 4.
정말 최적화가 100점 만점 가까이 잘 돼 있는 상황이었던 것 같고 언덕에 있던
Oh, sorry.
탱크들이
Earlier he was referencing that winning the 4th game was the key to winning the entire thing.
프로토스의 병력은 엄청 많고 테란의 병력은 얼마 없는데 진격을 하더라고요. 그리고 이
So it
병력들이
seemed like on map 2,
두 번째 경기.
네.
Protoss had a lot of large army units.
그 타이밍이
Terran seemed to be very weak during that push. Can you tell us about that game? You seemed to push out very early.
전술이 좀 안 좋았던 것 같아요. 그게 이제 센터로 가면서 합류할 수 있는 그 여지를 만들었어야 되는데 거기로 갔던 것도 이영호 선수 게임을 봤을 때 그렇게 이겼거든요.
Yeah, I pushed into the center.
그래서 나도 한번 따라해볼까 하고 또 해봤는데 따라할 때마다 지는 것 같아요.
I think I should have backed up.
그러니까 고정된 타이밍에 맞춰서
I didn't really realize what was going on in that game. I was pretty surprised.
막 그러다 보니까 플리피콘을 리스캔을 통해서 확인을 하더라도 그 전진 시기 자체가 그러니까 그 좀 견적이 잘 안 나온다라는
So Stork is using carriers in a very different
그런데 세 번째
style.
그때도
You
솔직히
did scan and see he had the carriers coming, but you attacked regardless.
ASL에서
This is in reference to game 2.
복귀전에서 똑같은 전략에 졌었어요. 그래서 아 이거 100% 그 빌드구나 약간 그 심증만 가지고 게임을 하고 타이밍을 잡았는데
I've actually lost to the same strategy before.
한바닥을 날렸을 때는 이겼다 했거든요. 근데
I thought, okay,
이게 막히면서
he's used the situation
내가
before in the
어떻게 해야 되지?
past.
약간 멘탈이 좀
So in my head, I thought somehow what I tried to do would have worked out better, and I kind of screwed myself.
지고 나서는 약간 좀 포기 상태였는데
I wasn't really sure what to do after that.
네오 실피드를 그렇게 좀
I almost gave up on
멘탈이 좀
myself.
흔들릴 정도로 패배를 하고 나서 4세트가 또 이노코분이었어요. 그래서 많은
Yeah, we could see that
준비를 하시면서 워낙
after the third map.
프로토스가 승률이 좋았던 맵이기 때문에
You've seen it especially shaky. By the way, I think they were talking with the carrier engagement. Now they were talking about the third map there.
해오셨던 것 같아요.
And then we went to the game inner Coven.
이노코분 승률이 가장 좋았었거든요. 그래서
You managed to pull it together and have a victory on that map.
이제
So personally,
이제 실피드를 잡고
I actually have a very
마무리하자가 이제 제 시나리오였는데
high win rate on inner Coven. I'm very strong on that map.
바람에 너무 쫄깃했던 것 같습니다.
결국에는 그 마지막에 이 커세어의 위치를
In an ideal scenario, I was going to end up closing out the series on inner Coven. But of course, we had to go to Polypoid for map 5.
좀 무섭긴 했는데 그 경기도 좀 약간 연습이 돼 있는 상황이라 좀 많이 당황스럽진 않았고 이제 준비된 대로 잘했던 것 같아요.
저는 오늘 가장 궁금했던 게 아까 그 실패드에서 앞마당 파괴시키고
So let's talk about the game on map 5.
전까지 그때 한 몇 대 몇 정도 와 이겼다 생각을 했나요?
이겼다까지는 아니었고 그 캐리어인 걸 빠르게 확인했을 때
I was a little bit worried on map 5, but everything went fine.
생각을 했는데 이제 앞마당을 깨고 그 병력이 잡혔을 때는 오 이거 이상한데?
When I caught him going for the carriers on the map Sylphid,
앞마당에 토렛을 막 때리고 있는데
when I destroyed his second base, I thought, okay, that's it, it's over.
근데 예, 그 위쪽에
Somehow I thought, okay, this feels weird. He's not out of the game yet.
그래서 좀 집중력이 떨어졌나?
I also caught.
예, 정말 참 오늘 재밌는 경기를 많이 만들었죠.
You were making a command center at your third base at the time.
어땠습니까? 기분이 어땠습니까?
He said, yeah, I had extra money. I needed to spend it.
제발 캐리어 좀 쓰지 마라.
아, 오연태 설마.
아 제발 캐리어 좀 쓰지 마라.
Anyways, when we went to game 5, I thought, okay, I hoped he would not go carriers for me in that game.
다행히 아비터를 가는 걸 보고 좀 마음이 편했고요. 이제 저는 제가 좀
When I realized he didn't go for carriers, I thought.
이제 그 경구 형이
And when he went for arbiters, I thought, okay, good.
본인이 더 급했던
I'm more comfortable against arbiter tech in general.
잘 맞고 나니까 조금 쉽게
I think Stark was a little bit rushed on map 5. He didn't seem like he needed to attack me at the moments he didn't attack me at. And I thought, okay, he's kind of falling apart.
바라볼 이재호 선수인데 김태경 선수와 박상현 선수의 승자와 함께 4강 경기를 치르게 될 거예요.
So you're going to be going up against one of two players, either a great Protoss or a great Zerg. Who do you prefer to play against? Whoever I face,
짭제동 선수는 제가
I'll win.
이겨본 적이 있어가지고 제가 다전제에서 이겨본 적 없는
And he says fake Jadong, referring to Chosim Zerg.
시즌이 거듭될수록 이재호 선수의 존재감을
actually-
많은 팬분들이 확인하고 계십니다.
Oh, he says he's actually just prepping against Bisu because he's pretty confident Bisu will play against him. And he thinks Bisu's just a stronger player. Any words to your fans?
잠시만요. 좀 꼬여가지고.
Give me a second. I forgot what I was going to say.
제 얼굴을
I need to
한번
think a bit.
깜짝 놀랐죠. 번뜩.
일단 그 4강 가게 돼서 너무 기분이 좋고.
Okay, first of all,
가장 약한
I'm very happy to make it to the semifinals.
어떻게 또 결승까지 갈 수 있는 좋은 대진이 만들어진 것 같은데 꼭 준비 잘해가지고 4강도 준비 잘해서 결승까지 갈 수 있도록 하겠습니다.
I have a lot of luck on the brackets. I think my side of the bracket's a little bit weaker than the other side.
네, 말씀하시죠.
그 연습을 도와준 친구들.
I have more words to say.
제가
I want to thank the players that helped me a lot.
가장 많이 도와줬던 그 손경훈
For the past 3 days.
그리고 윤수철 선수.
God, I don't know these guys' names and IDs.
김범수 선수, 변현재 선수, 장윤철 선수가 너무 많이
성경, 김범수,
고맙다고 전하고 싶고.
Snow.
그리고 제가 연습하느라 바빠가지고 좀 신경 못 써줬는데 제 여자친구인
I want to thank you guys, everybody else who helped me. And special thanks to my girlfriend.
4강 진출의 소감이 아닐까
And he
싶습니다.
loves her. He says, I love you.
축하드립니다. 자, 그럼 이재호 선수 우리 함께 경기 결과.
He says he has been neglecting his girlfriend because he's been practicing so much. Anyways, match results.
Right.
Nah. Thumbs down, Stork. Get in your carrier and go home.
All right. So, I mean, good job by Light. Round of 4. It's a big deal. Stork continues to show good form.
He's coming back. Let me tell you something.
He is coming back. He's been playing better. Last year he was playing very well as well. Remember KSL? He did well in
I just need a montage scene of Stork in his garage on the bench press, okay, every day, and then practicing crashing speed shuttles into weak Terran defense.
Yeah.
Doing arbiters. Every once in a while he's going carriers while losing his natural and winking into the camera.
Right.
One more series.
Yeah, day after tomorrow on Tuesday, Choshim Zerg against Bisu. That's going to be amazing. It's going to be a great match. This is a wonderful week, Tasteless. Okay, we had this great best of 5. Then tomorrow's my birthday. The day after that, Choshim Zerg, which is Soma, against Bisu. I mean, could it be even... And do you know what? This week on the Pilot Show, I'm having the guy who made Inner Coven on. How sick. What a wonderful week.
By the way, happy early birthday, Artosis.
Thank you.
How old are you going to be now?
26. I'm turning 37 tomorrow, my friend.
Nobody's
having
celebrating
parties by
now right now.
The same thing I do every day, playing some ladder.
That's right. You're going to be streaming tomorrow?
Yeah.
Send him some love. Send him some birthday donations. Some StarCraft advice is what he likes most of all.
That's what what I'm looking for.
I know what Artosis said. When Artosis loses, he goes, oh man, I lost. What should I do, chat? You guys know better than me.
That's it. That's what I want,
Yeah.
especially considering I'm likely to lose to carriers a lot tomorrow. That's going to be
carriers are
especially
coming.
fun.
I think, though, that if the carriers come, you can probably beat them. I think most Protosses are going to be trying to do what Stork did and just lose because he's very good with the carriers. So this might be a good thing for Terrans this week.
Maybe. I tell you what,
Now,
I'm going to get a lot of quick
later,
ComSat scanners tomorrow, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I'm going to be looking for those.
Out of all the days we've ever had of ASL, I think today's the one where if you're a TVP player, I'm like, okay, you need to be ready. You might, if you're a Protoss, play against some Terrans that are just like, what? Carriers on Neo Sylphid? That's, and they just die.
Yeah.
I can't wait for Chosim Zerg versus Bisu. I think, again, it might go to Game 5. We have had such an insane round of 8. Makes me worried for a round of 4. You know, sometimes in GSL we have like really good round of 4, and then the finals is total trash.
The round of 4 actually looks better than the round of 8, I think, in a lot of ways, because like if there is a Zerg that can really beat Flash, it should be Zero or Queen, right? Those are his 2 IDs for people confused why I'm saying 2
Depends
IDs.
on.
But yeah,
Zero
Queen
by
is,
day, but Queen by
Queen is
night.
like the strongest Zerg in a lot of ways. And then over on this side, like Light versus Bisu or Light versus Soma. I know that Light's TVZ is really well respected, but Soma is like right now Zerg. It's all about Soma or Choshim Zerg and Queen, right? Why do these guys change their IDs?
It's really annoying. But I think Bisu very well could take this. I think as good as Chosim Zerg is, I think Bisu certainly has a shot. Also, certainly has the experience. I think Chosim Zerg is good live, but he doesn't
That's why I'm
have
choosing
anywhere
Bisu.
near the experience that Bisu has in live matches. And then we could have Light versus Bisu, which would be just...
That would be amazing. That would be amazing.
It would be so good.
Yeah, it's
perfect.
Well, I was going to say, especially since Bisu can look at these games that you just played, but actually you can't, as Bisu, you can't learn anything.
Bisu didn't learn anything. He's like, oh, that's how you almost beat him on 2-base carrier. 2-base into 1-base carrier. Yeah, then don't.
Yeah.
But there was something very novel and really fun about these PvTs. We got to learn really, it's rare too, especially in StarCraft 1, that we have the same text like that of carriers in every different form and get to see the Stork is very aware of just how strong the carriers are even after you've lost your second base.
Yeah.
No pun intended there. Really, it's very illuminating that crushing their push like that still gives you enough room to maybe win even when they're getting up to 3 or 4 bases.
It's pretty wild.
Crazy, man.
He definitely played it well. Yeah, I guess that's it. It's been great. Can't wait for Tuesday.
It's coming.
It's coming.
Artos'
That's
going to
be a great PVZ, man. Yeah.
It's going to be great.
My birthday is great too. That's fantastic.
Just 3 great days in a row.
3 great days in a row.
People all over the world.
Well, we don't know if tomorrow's
celebrating
great
your birthday.
yet. If I lose MMR on my birthday, that's going to be like sad, man.
That's right.
That is not the way I want to celebrate.
But you could get lucky. You know, sometimes when you get on BattleNet and you get against a really, what could be a really close match, and they just leave in the first few seconds for a mysterious reason. You don't know why.
Yeah,
that's a real treat too. Sometimes you're like, oh,
I don't know. Well, if I just lost a game I'm angry about and that happens, I'm like, justice.
yeah. Good. Give it all back.
That's it.
You know, we always say this in the cast, but when coronavirus is finally done, the place where we're hosting ASL is badass. And when we can have social gathering again, when the world defeats coronavirus, come down. Travel. If you're watching this, you're probably not in Korea. Nobody can travel anywhere for a long time.
Everyone watching it in Korea watching it online too. So, right?
Yeah, but I'm saying, Artos, you missed the point. I'm saying if you are stuck, you know, wherever you are, wherever you're stuck, when this is all done, travel. Come see the show live.
Are you saying no one lives in Korea?
Nobody lives in Korea. That's what you don't know. We're going to open up the studio door and the entire country's empty. That's all the time we have. Guys, we love you. Stay safe. Wash your hands. Take care of yourselves. And have a good morning, afternoon, or night, wherever you are. We'll see you on Tuesday for the final day of the round of 8 of the ASL.
Just beating faster than 200 BPM. No one believing ya, ego anesthesia. It's selected memory, yeah, you got amnesia. You got the confidence to suck us all in. This pit is bottomless, the lies are autonomous. You're pushing, you're pulling, your cancer is showing. Feel me drift away.